All right, we are live, everybody. Network. I put his channel in the below description, so check out his channel, subscribe to him, and all that good stuff. But I got a few questions, Louis, before we start. Just basic.
No problem.
I know you like the NBA. I know you're a huge fan. That's what I really want to concentrate on today. What is your favorite NBA team? I really don't know because you cover so many teams, and I'm pretty sure you've said it, but I have no idea. What is your favorite NBA team?
Thank you for having me, Sports Critic. Pleasure to be here, number one. And number two, I do cover a lot of teams because I want to give opportunities for other teams that don't get recognition by the media. So this is why I cover them. Unfortunately, my favorite team is the New York Knicks, and they are absolutely trash as of right now. And it's until the owner gets out of there, it's like I'm committed.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, no. I was just going to say that I stay committed to them despite the fact that we're in bad times right now. And it's like we won't be relevant until the owner ends up selling the team. And I feel like until the NBA forces it, it's like we're going to be in the dog pound for years. I do watch other teams besides them, though, that I keep a close eye on. I do like the Toronto Raptors. There's the Clippers. I talked about your Magic, and I think that they have a nice young core that they have down there. Right. So I think that it's going to be, once they build their pieces, I honestly think that the Magic will be contenders in due time. So, but there's a lot of teams that follow.
The reason why I laughed when you said Knicks is because I am actually from New York.
Okay.
I'm not a Knicks fan because when I was young, I grew up watching Shaquille O'Neal. He was my favorite player, and he was drafted by Orlando. So that's actually how I became a Magic fan. Okay. I know the Knicks were really good in the 90s as well. Did you watch the Knicks in the 90s? Were you able to watch them back then?
Yeah, no, I was a huge fan of Mason, Oakley, Patrick, John Starks.
Yeah, they had a really good team in the 90s. Just unfortunate because of Jordan, they were not really able to do much. They did get to the finals, right? And then they
they choked. They had a 3-2 lead on the Rockets, and they blew the last two games. They should have won. They should have won the championship that year against Houston. No disrespect to Houston, they were a great team, but I thought that the Knicks were the better team. They just didn't get the job done.
Yeah, I know you covered so many teams. That's why I could not tell which one was your favorite. I grew up in New York. My brother is actually a Knicks fan. But everybody feels like that in New York, just like they need to get rid of Dolan and they need to move on because he needs to sell the team because he will not make good decisions. He's horrible. He tries to kick people out for statements and stuff like that. I agree with you. Dolan has to go. And who would you want them to hire as a coach though? Are you fine with Mike Miller or do you want somebody else?
I mean, for me, I need you. The thing is that when you want to become a champion, you definitely need a coach that's going to kind of lay the foundation. I think of guys like, unfortunately, I would love somebody like Mark Jackson because I think somebody like him is like he'll label a foundation and he'll bring discipline to a franchise. He'll bring it to the team. I mean, I look at what he did with the Warriors. Like that team was a laughing stock during like the mid 2000s. They did have that We Believe team in 2007, but other than that, they really were not that great of a franchise. As soon as he came in, they were able to draft players, obviously Steph, Clay, and Draymond, and they started to build and build. They started to become – he changed the culture. So in order to – if Mike Miller can do that, then, I'd be fine with that. But it's like you need somebody that's going to change the culture. Have your players believe in what, you're saying and obviously what you believe, pretty much in, not just, the system, but – getting them to believe that they're great players and that they can go out and win every single night. So you need somebody that's going to change the culture, of your franchise.
That's true. So like I grew up, I was actually born in 1989. So that's some back. So that is exactly the same year the Magic came out. Now that's not how I became a fan. They drafted Shaquille O'Neal, who was the best player at that time, first overall pick. And he was just so dominant. He was so good. I loved him. And he was so amazing. And then they got Penny Hardaway. Actually, they took Chris Webber, and then they traded him for Penny Hardaway, which a lot of people don't even know. We actually had Chris Webber, but the thing was, we don't want Chris Webber and Shaq because they're kind of the same type of player. So Penny Hardaway made great sense for us to, and that duo together was really, really good. So that's actually how I just want to give you a little backstory of how I became a Magic fan, even though I live in New York.
Right.
And my brother's a Knicks fan. And that's another thing. My brother was a Knicks fan, so I didn't want to pick the Knicks. And the Nets at that time were in Jersey. They weren't in Brooklyn. Or else I could have been a Brooklyn Nets fan. So.
And Shaq and Penny, they're one of my favorite duels. I love Penny Hardaway as a player. He reminded me a lot. What was impressive about him was, for somebody so young, he was like so fundamentally sound. It's like he was not only a great passer, he was athletic. He could post up, like he could do so many things on the court, and he was efficient. And like I remember when Shaq was injured, I think around the '96 season. This was after they just came off the finals, losing to Orlando. Penny was averaging like close to 30 points a game, which showed you that he could even take over games even with Shaq out. So when Shaq came back was when he had to kind of dial it back up. And what sucks for them is that they were looked at, when you look at OKC, when they had Harden, Westbrook, and Durant, when they had Shaq and Penny, people were looking at the Magic as that team that was going to be the next dynasty. But this was before Jordan came back, and he had just came back after being in baseball, and people looked at the Magic as the next dynasty, and people thought that they would dominate for years to come because they had a young team. They had some veterans, a good mix, but and I was excited for that franchise, but I felt like once Jordan came back and they ended up getting swept. I know that they had some injuries, but I know once Jordan got swept, like Jordan swept and the Bulls swept them and they had that historic season, like everything just went downhill. Shaq saw what Alonzo Mourning got, because Alonzo got a huge contract, I think, that year in the offseason. And Shaq was looking for something around that mark. And the Magic, they gave him an offer, but it wasn't like as much as he thought. So he thought he could get. So then Jerry West comes in, the great Jerry West, and then he kind of swoops him in. And this was at the time they just traded for Kobe. And then once that happens, then they pair them up, and it's like Penny's by himself. And then that's when the injury started to happen. And I felt bad for him because I said, man, I would have loved to seen the Magic become that next dominant team, but it just wasn't meant to be.
Yeah, there were times where that could have happened. We could have been totally dominant. You're absolutely correct. Because Shaquille O'Neal actually, he actually did like Orlando. People have this narrative that he didn't like Orlando and he wanted to leave. No, the Lakers gave him a better offer first. Actually, the Magic did offer, but it was way too late. At that point, he already made up his mind. I actually was watching a whole documentary about this. Because yes, I saw it when I was younger, but I didn't really understand the details of contracts and all that. Well, I will get to the questions, Isaac. I just want to get to know Louis a little bit more because it's the first time on the channel. I've been watching a lot of your content recently. Very great. I love it. Great.
Appreciate it.
Content. Actually, how do you pick who gets to go on the show? Because I would like to come on there sometime as well.
Well, what I usually do is it usually depends on schedules. There's a lot of people sometimes who they would just rather like kind of listen to me do the streams, but then I will come back, and when I kind of set up the StreamYard, and then I'll have the and you do the preview as to when the when your stream is going to go live. At some time of the day, I'll type in, does anybody want to come to the live? And I'll usually kind of ask for their email. It can, and then I'll just pretty much send them the link at some point so that they could come on. And usually, like I said, anybody random, but I'll usually have kind of like a set amount depending on who wants to come on. But usually I will just type in the live stream on YouTube. Anybody wants to come on, they just, let me know what their email is. If they happen to leave it, inside the channel, I will, just take the email and I'll just write it right there. And then I'll send them the link, and then I'll have them just come on. Sometimes they'll come on time, come maybe 10 minutes early, or then they'll come a little after if they're having issues. So, and it's like, but that's pretty much the process. And usually I try to do interesting topics where it's like I can get their input on what I try to do. So like, and it's like, once I do that, man, it's like, people really kind of tend to draw in. And funny, what started it really was when I actually kind of started doing the trivia. The trivia was actually triggering me to get more ideas. So it wasn't just with, what's going on with this pandemic, but just doing the trivia, people had a lot of fun. I just hate the fact that it's so laggy with StreamYard and YouTube, and they're still trying to fix because a lot of people are starting to get on this. But that's what pretty much I've been doing, trying to get people on. And like I said, the more the merrier. It just makes it that much more fun.
Yeah, I got to cut. And another question: what year did you become a Knicks fan? Like, do you remember like what year that was? At least like around.
So okay, I started watching them on TV, just trying to get used to them and understand. I feel like I didn't really become a fan of them until they were kind of making their strings of, not just they were getting deep. I will probably say around 94, 95-ish. I was really, really paying attention to the Knicks. And
Mhm.
I fell in love with the 99 team, the
Oh yeah,
99 team during the lockout that was, really underrated.
yeah, that was
I was a huge Spreewell and Allen Houston fan
Allen
at that time
Houston.
too. And I've gone to Knick games. My first game actually live was when I was in high school, and I had a so the way it works was that they used to have sponsors who would help pay for your tuition. That's how it was back. I think it's still that way now. When I went, and the first ever live game that I actually went to that was a game against Reggie Miller and the Pacers. And I'm like, when Knicks and Pacers, when it comes to that rivalry, I'm like, that's crazy.
Yes, Reggie Miller. That was a great one.
And even yeah, and even in a regular season game, I was like, yo, this is crazy. And it like when the way those two teams played and the game actually went into overtime, it really felt like a playoff game. So like, there's nothing like being at Madison Square Garden. So
No,
that's
I know.
really,
I actually went to Madison Square Garden this year when they played Orlando and they beat us.
oh, okay. That's, all
Yeah,
right.
we beat them. We beat the Knicks once. They beat us once. Everybody always likes to talk about how the Knicks beat us, but nobody talks about when we beat them. Wait. So you are from New York? Like you live in New York, or?
Yes.
Oh,
I'm from the Manhattan area.
oh, okay. I'm from Queens, and I work in Manhattan. I mean, right now I'm not going to work because of the COVID situation. I'm working from home, but I actually work in Midtown. So I mean,
Okay.
yeah,
Nice.
hmm So yeah, let's get to some of the fans' questions, guys. If you have questions, you can ask me, Louis, both of us, whatever. We don't care. I'll answer some of his and whatever. So Caden Elvis has a good question for you. Who do you think the Knicks will draft? Louis, he wants your opinion first, I guess.
Well, to be honest, I haven't really been catching up on college basketball, and the thing is that the draft class is really weak this year. It's not going to be as strong. So to be honest, I really don't. I would have to go back and just look at the draft to see, who's available and stuff like that, and then to see, who's to pick. And so just info. So for you guys, the draft lottery is going to be at the end of August. So it's going to be on the 25th, and then the NBA. Yeah, so that's going to be, and then the NBA draft is going to be in. I believe the draft itself is going to be in October, and then they'll have free. It's 3 days after the last day of the NBA Finals, so it'll be October 15th. That'll be the draft, and then free agency will be October 18th, 3 days after that. So that's pretty much the whole schedule on that. So I'm not quite honestly sure. So I will have to go back and check. But I'll answer that question for you, Caden. And again, shout out to you, man, because he's been a really true supporter. And congrats to your subscribers.
As a like not a Knicks fan though, if I was to think who the Knicks would go for, it depends where their pick is also, because I don't think they're gonna get the first overall pick. They're not the worst team, and it's like even when they were the worst team last year, they didn't get it. Because they've changed it up, the whole format. Like the first three teams have the best chances and stuff like that. So I think that they should go either for LaMelo Ball or Anthony Edwards or somebody of that caliber, because they need a point guard or a shooting guard or something like that. But they also have RJ Barrett. I wonder how he's gonna play, because what sucks for a lot of these rookies, like this season just gonna feel so weird for them. I feel like this year, like Zion was on a roll and now he's gonna come back, but he only gets to play 8 games, and I don't know if the Pelicans are gonna even make the playoffs. Do you think the Pelicans will make the playoffs?
Well, when I did the stream on checking the 1 through 16 format, and that's kind of like, well, not that one, the one before that. Don't remember, but I was checking the 8 seed schedule for the Grizzlies and for the Grizzlies and the Pelicans. The Pelicans actually have the second hardest schedule behind Memphis. When you look at the teams they play, they're playing 5 playoff teams currently in the West, and Memphis has 6. But the difference is that, but this might help Memphis only because it's not 18 games anymore that they had to play, so it's 8. So that kind of cuts it short for them. And the thing is, both teams have had rest. The Pelicans have an opportunity because they were starting to get a roll, but I don't know if they will. only because the thing with Zion is that it's Alvin Gentry and the times that he takes him out and puts him in, because usually when Zion's in the game late in games,
Yeah.
number one, he impacts the ball already. He impacts the game there. Once they bring Brandon Ingram, and usually Brandon Ingram sits, and so they still have to work out that tandem. When he comes in, that's when they try to run everything through Brandon Ingram, and then it takes the offense away because they have more flow when Zion's in compared to Ingram, because Ingram has the ball in his hands a lot.
Yeah.
So he still has to learn how to play more off the ball, and I think that that's going to hurt them in close games. That's to me. And they're still not a good defensive team. So they got to get better at that too. And I just don't think Alvin Gentry is the coach for the Pelicans. They need somebody that's gonna, make them play more consistent and make them more tough. Alvin Gentry for me is not the coach for them. So they really need to change head coaches.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And didn't they just sign him? Didn't they just give him the deal like last year?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's like they're gonna have to move on from him pretty soon. Somebody asks, actually, Mile High asks, who do you think should win Coach of the Year?
There's a lot of good candidates. I look at Nick Nurse for the Raptors just because people thought that they were going to be a bottom tier playoff team and they weren't going to be able to do anything without Kawhi Leonard, and they have the second best record in the Eastern Conference. So he definitely deserves consideration. Trying to think of somebody else who deserves it. Trying to think of somebody in the West. Possibly the Memphis coach, considering how the Grizzlies were. And I didn't see them as a playoff team. And the way that John Moran has played with those young guys, he definitely deserves consideration. Those are two coaches that I think of right off the bat for Coach of the Year.
Yeah, I think Nick Nurse, you could say Brad Stevens. There's a lot of candidates. I would say let's wait till the year's finished and then we could decide better on that. You know what? I got to say the one thing before we get on to this. I loved your Magic coverage because you named a player that I've been trying to tell people about, Chume Okeke. No one knows who this guy is because he tore his ACL in college, but I think he could be really talented for us. And he was taken, in the middle of the first round because of the injury. So I just want to ask you I saw your video, but maybe people here didn't see it. So what do you think about Chume Okeke, and can he be good if he's healthy?
Okay, so I saw him play in the NCAA tournament when he played for Auburn, and when I saw him play, I was in awe because he's really, number one, he's athletic. So you love to have an athletic player, but the thing is also he has a high basketball IQ. Anytime you have a player that has a high basketball IQ, you can tell that he's coachable. And then also he brings versatility. I think also that means that he could probably defend multiple positions, and then he can also play different positions. So now what he does is you can play different lineups having a player like him on your team. And so that's what makes it really, that's why I was very impressed with him a lot. So the fact that he can make good decisions, you need that on a basketball team because now it limits your mistakes. So a guy who's that talented, because he is a top 10 pick when healthy. When he's healthy, he is a top 10 pick. So I like the Magic, their future with having him. As long as he doesn't get any more injuries, other than that ACL, I think the sky's the limit for this kid. Really.
You want to know something? I heard the Magic haven't even signed him yet because they're waiting until he comes back until he's fully healthy. So that's one good thing. Obviously, he's not going to play this year, but he'll probably play next year. What do you think about Jonathan Isaac? Should he come back this year, or should he just wait till next year? I think that they're waiting till next year. But in your opinion, what would you do if you were the coach? Would you start him if he's healthy?
Well, looking at the scenario with the Magic, and I hate the fact, and so the good news for the Magic, and like in terms of the format, they're keeping the format, the traditional 8 versus 8. So if you guys want to know, I only did that 1 through 16 as a hypothetical, just in case if the league was going to go and do that. But they're keeping it 8 for the 8 and 8 from each conference, which is great, and I'm glad that they did that. So Jonathan Isaac, to me, has the potential to be a future Defensive Player of the Year candidate, and for him, he wants to play, so I like his determination to try to come to the team and help them. Me personally, I think that, with the way that the Magic are right now, I would kind of save him for next year because the Magic aren't expected to go far. Because, and again, they're going up against, the two elite teams, at least in the East, with Toronto and Milwaukee. So I just said I would hold them. And the funny thing is the Magic actually, even though they can't, they're not a great offensive team, they match up really well in terms of the Bucks and giving them problems on defense because the Magic are a very good defensive team. And he definitely would even give them even more on the defensive end. But I think that I think they should just save him for next year and try to build and see if they could get some offensive help in the offseason, because I think the Magic can definitely, because it's the East, they can put themselves right back and probably get themselves an even higher seed next year.
Louis, this is what I tell people every time. And actually, I thought it would have happened this year, but I didn't see Jonathan Isaac getting injured. To me, him getting injured was the reason why we're only an 8th seed. I feel like if he was healthy, we could have been a 6th or 5th seed. And when I told people in this chat and people here, they thought I was crazy. But I don't think the Magic are that far off from teams like the Pacers and the 76ers. You can see, like, after they lost Jimmy Butler, they haven't been the same team.
No.
Exactly. So, and we actually match up well against the 76ers too, because we beat them twice. We lost to them once during the regular season. So I want to get your opinion on the Nets, because they're the next hottest team in New York, right?
Right.
And they got Kevin Durant and Kyrie, and they're not coming back this year at all. It's been confirmed pretty much. They're shutting them out for this. But for next year, where do you think the Nets will end up in terms of seeding if they have those two guys healthy and ready to go?
Well, we got to find out who the head coach is going to be. That's number one. Right now, it's Jacques Vaughn, but I know that they're going to try to look for somebody, that's got playoff experience. So they need to look for that. So they need to make sure. I'm wondering what kind of system are they going to run under this new head coach? That's another thing. And who are they going to keep and who are they going to let go? Because we already know about Kyrie and KD coming. That's like anytime you get players off the injury list, it's like acquiring a free agent, on your own team. So you get Kyrie, who can score with the best of them. His handles are unbelievable, and he can score down the stretch in games. Is huge. And then obviously you got KD, who was arguably, you're looking at him as, not only just top 2 forwards, but then you're talking about one of the top 5 players in the NBA. You get those two back. In the Eastern Conference, the Nets improve dramatically. So they score. My key for them is going to be they're going to have to be able to play defense consistently, because when I watched them this year, they have, even without Kyrie and KD, they would get to really good starts, and then it's like they start to forget how to play, and then they let teams back into the game, and next thing you know, they start losing these close games that they should be able to win, at least, for the most part. The problem is when I see them, they're going to have to figure out who are they going to have to give up. Is it going to be Karis LeVert, or is it going to be Spencer Dinwiddie? And they're looking to add a third piece. So they're looking at Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal wants to stay in Washington, but they want to bring him. But the Nets want to acquire him and add them to that trim.
I hope the Nets do not get Bradley Beal, because I think if they get Bradley Beal, they're going to be really, really dangerous.
And the Magic are looking to get him too, which is crazy. So
yes, I really hope we can get him, because if you think about it, we, like you said, we're really good defensively, but our offense is a big problem. Our guys cannot hit threes, So I'm really hoping that we get a guy that can hit threes. But I really want to go to this question, because Valix is a big Knicks fan, by the way. He lives in Atlanta, became a Knicks fan. I don't know how that happened. But he said, who is your favorite all-time Knicks player? I think it's Patrick Ewing, but I don't know. Maybe you tell him.
Listen. I love Patrick, but as a center, don't get me wrong, he would be like my 3rd best player, even though he was the franchise. But I kind of pertain more to wings. So you're looking at, even though he spent a small amount of time there, I was a huge Sprewell fan when he played for the Knicks.
Oh, Sprewell.
I love Sprewell. I love his tenacity. I loved just how hard he played. He made, like I said, the way he played in the 99, finals run was just unbelievable. And at the time he came off the bench, he was my number 1 favorite, even though he was there. I know some people will kind of say, well, didn't you like, Carmelo? And don't get me wrong, I love Melo's time here too. I just felt like they never really built around him the right way. Yes. And
I totally agree with that. True.
And the fact that I didn't like that he took the money, because back when he was a 2014 free agent, and I said he should have went to the Bulls, because I knew the Knicks were already going down after those. They never really built a consistent contender. So that's why I was Melo should have went. And he gave us some really good years. It just wasn't enough. So but my guys were Houston and Sprewell. While I was watching them, those are my 2 guys.
Oh my God, Sprewell! I remember when they acquired him, I was like, that was a pretty good move. I think the team just wanted to get rid of him because he didn't get along with the coaches over there. when he came to New York, I liked it. The Melo thing, I totally agree. And this is one thing I have to say, Louis, and I'm pretty sure you would agree with me on this. I feel like that trade, they traded way too much for Carmelo because those players worked very well together, I felt like. And yes, Carmelo, I felt wasn't Carmelo supposed to be a free agent the year after that, and they could have just got him?
He was supposed to be a free agent in 2011, and I was upset at him. I know he forced Denver management to get traded to New York, but it wasn't just him. James Dolan forced Donnie Walsh to trade all those pieces. So, like, for those who want to know the story, Donnie Walsh was the president of basketball operations for us because he used to be for the Pacers. So he was actually doing a pretty good job building our team, and we had the pieces.
Yeah.
So I said that imagine if Melo was a free agent, he would have been able to sign, and our pieces, we would have really looked good.
Yeah.
But James Dolan pressured Walsh to force the trade, along with Melo forcing himself out of Denver, and we lost all those pieces. And they said that they weren't going to be able to trade pieces until Chauncey Billups became part of the deal, and that didn't really work well because Chauncey could not stay healthy, and that pretty much kind of screwed us over. And we only had really like the best season that we had was 2013 with all the cast that we had, but it was only one really good year because we had a lot of older veterans, but they were just too old to at that point to, pretty much compete, and they were injured. J Kidd was only there for 1 year, and he ended up going straight to coaching with Brooklyn, and that was that. But I think if Melo had not tried to force himself out of Denver and just waited till free agency, Melo would have been in a much better situation, and we would have been a very nice deep team. And I couldn't, just imagine what we could have done. We would have been, I think, a consistent contender, not just brief.
I agree. That's what I was like. I mean, I'm not a Knicks fan, but I remember watching the news about that, and I was like, man, why are they rushing this? They could just wait and get him later on and keep those guys. And because I think that those guys worked really well together. I remember they were a playoff team without Carmelo Anthony. So then imagine you have Carmelo Anthony, and then you have all these other guys, David Lee, Wilson Chandler, Raymond Felton was on the team. They had even Mozgov, who was a decent, like, I didn't even know he was going to be anything, but he actually turned out to be, like, decent, Who will the Knicks sign in free agency? Says Caden Alvis. He wants to know who will the Knicks sign.
That's a good question, and it's a real difficult question. You know why I say that is because it's that I don't know what kind of idiotic signing they're going to do, because quite honestly, they've had quite a few players that they could have signed over the years, and it's like they keep making not only dumb signings, but they give these players dumb contracts. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. And it's like you pretty much cleaned your roster. They had chances to sign Kawhi Leonard, who was looking to really being interested, but it was like they didn't want to take that chance for some reason. Kevin Durant was looking at some way to be that, but it was like the Knicks pretty much nipped that in the bud. Even though KD said he wasn't going to go over there, the Knicks didn't even really give him a meeting. And they ended up signing all these power forwards. And I'm like, why do we have so many power forwards when we're weak at point guard? We've never had a great point guard since Walt Clyde Frazier. You could even go probably as far as even Mark Jackson as probably the latest. So then there's there. Then, we haven't had elite wings since Melo was our best wing in terms of the forward. We haven't had a great two guard since Allen Houston. And we also haven't really had a great center neither since Patrick Ewing. So to be honest, it's like I'm one of those to be interested to see. I want to wait and see what they're going to do, to see who they're really going to sign, to make me believe that, they're going to be contending and looking forward to signing like at least smart players, because they have to make smart investments. And the Knicks, they just haven't really been smart.
They seem to overpay a lot of people. Like they overpaid Julius Randle. What was your thoughts about the whole Julius Randle signing when they signed him? Like, were you pissed?
Well, I was pissed that they gave him a lot of money, like $63 million for 3 years. I just think is a lot, especially like I was concerned that Julius would end up getting hurt, and then we end up like owing all that kind of money. Because the thing was is that I believe we had the highest cap of any team in the league, and it's like we weren't really aggressive, and then we spend the money on a power forward. I'm like, okay, fine, but I would have signed them for less. Maybe like around 16, 17 million. I just felt like 21 to 22 million is just a lot for signing him for 3 years. And, that hurt us in the bank a little bit. And, I was not happy with the deal, just considering of what other players we could have signed, because there were other solid players that were in free agency, and the Knicks really didn't even take a look at them. And then we kept signing all these big men. And it's like, well, what about our other positions? You see, like when you make signings, it's like I understand like if there's just no way that you're going to be able to sign a player if you don't really have the money, but you really have to like
Yeah.
as somebody who's doing basketball operations, you got to see what's available out there, and you got to see, does this person fit your needs? And it's like you got to look at what we're missing, and we're missing point guard help because we
Yes.
have not had it. We lack wings, and it's like we don't have a dominant big man. I know the dominant big man is kind of a lost art,
It's
you know,
kind
in
of gone,
today's
yeah,
league.
in the NBA
It's
nowadays.
kind of gone, but
Yeah.
you know, because it's really more so a wings league now. But it's like you have to look at to see what's out there because like now to win a championship, you have to build it through your wings because that's
I
just the way to go now.
totally, I agree with you, and that's what gets me mad about the Magic sometimes. I mean, I feel like they've gotten a lot better with the new GM, but we don't have a shooting guard that I like. I don't like Evan Fournier as much. I don't like how he plays. Should the Magic go for DeMar DeRozan? Hell no. We don't need another guy that can't shoot threes as a shooting guard. We need a guy that can shoot threes. The Magic really need that. We really do not have that one guy that can do something that can hit it significant and hit it a lot and hit it at a good rate. What do you think? Do you think that the Knicks should go for DeMar DeRozan?
I mean, it would give them an all-star, to be honest. And DeMar, and it's funny, and the thing is, DeMar DeRozan's going into a situation where he really doesn't have pressure. You know, he
Yeah.
doesn't have the pressure. The Knicks are not expected to do anything. So I think DeRozan performs better with lower expectations because I felt like when the expectations were too high, and when he was in Toronto and people were expecting him to be, you know, the number one guy, it just didn't work out because DeRozan's not that type of person. Because one, he shoots mid-range shots. And the
Mhm.
thing is, that we're in a 3-point league, so he has to be able to shoot threes. And the thing is, number two, he just doesn't seem confident. And I just felt that he was never your best player. You need somebody who can
Yeah.
take over a game as your best player on a championship team. He at best is your third best player. So he's a complimentary player, but he's not your best player. And you can see when they played Cleveland, like he would get anxiety. And like I said, I'm not wishing, you know, it's unfortunate that he has that, but it's just he the thing is he feels devastated in big games, and you can just see it, and it's like mentally it affects him. So it's like you need mentally strong people that are going to be there, you know,
Yeah.
at the moment in the playoffs. And it's just like I said, for the Knicks it would be somebody at least because he doesn't have to, like I said, expectations will be low. But in the playoffs is where I worry about him the most because it's like his games come and go, and it's like you need a franchise player that's going to carry your team on your back along with complementary pieces. And DeRozan is just not that guy. And
Yeah.
he's a good player. Don't get me wrong.
I
But
mean, DeRozan is a good player, and he would work on the Magic. He would, but the thing is, he just becomes a lot like our other guys. I feel like guys that really can't. I feel like we need a guy who could shoot like from the three, like 40% or higher, because we have those guys that could drive in and get points. Like Markel is like that. I really wish Markel could go back to his old shooting days. Markel Fultz, I do like him, but I think he needs to improve his shooting. What is your thoughts on Markel Fultz? Hey, what's up, Kevo, by the way? What's up, Kevo and Sports Reactions and Go James. But what do you think about Markel Fultz?
shout out to everybody in the chat first of all, and
everybody.
then secondly, Markel Fultz is a talented player. I just don't like how the Sixers handled him and that crazy injury that he had because he was very talented coming out of college, and I said that this guy is going to be something special. Just give him time and just properly develop. I'm glad he's getting his opportunity in Orlando.
Yeah.
I'm glad that he's not, injured anymore, and he did improve it. He did improve this year, and if you notice, he didn't play a lot of games due to the injury. This year, he played 64 games. If you do that in an 82 game season stretch, he would have played all 82 games. So it shows you that he's healthy. That's first of all. So keeping he's healthy. He has very good defensive skills that I like about him a lot. He's a really good athlete. He can finish around the basket. Key thing
Yeah.
for him is just developing his free throw touch and obviously, developing his jump
3-point.
shot.
Yeah, he got a little bit of hitch to his shot, but he is great. And what I really like, he has a really good crossover too. He was able to go all over on just dominate the Lakers. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But so Caden says he wants the Hawks to sign Joe Harris. I mean, if you want 3-point shooting, I guess that's all Joe Harris can really do. He's not a good defender. What do you think about the Hawks signing Joe Harris? You think that would be a good move?
Joe Harris will definitely help them in terms of the 3-point shooting, but they have to get better defensively. So that's one. They have to be a better defensive team, and they obviously have to develop because this is a very young team. it would help. The Hawks, they lack veteran players. They really lack veteran players for them to become a playoff team because they have a nice core. They have Cam Reddish, they have John Collins, they
They
have
do.
Trey Young.
Yes.
So they have pieces. They have some pieces there. The key thing for them is just to
I,
develop those young players.
I feel like the Hawks need defense more than Joe Harris. I think that
Yeah,
they already have great shooters. They have Trey Young, who's really good. They have guys like Herder. They have slashers like Reddish. They need. I feel like they need more of defensive players. That's the thing, and they're a young team. That's what I look at them kind of similar to the Magic. Like we're a young team, but we need that 3-point shooting, but not like a Joe Harris. We need like a 3-point shooter who could do other things like Bradley Beal. Question for Louis: which young player besides SGA, would you have confidence in?
Um, so Shea Gildas is having a great season.
Yes.
I like him a lot. I like Ferguson. I really like Ferguson. He's a very confident player that I like on that team. Dennis Schroeder has been great for them as well. Those are guys that you could depend on consistently, and they've been very good. There's Diallo, there's Grant. So you have some really nice young players on that team that you can really count on. Obviously Gilgeous Alexander, he's obviously going to get better. I wonder, if he's going to become their franchise player.
Yeah, I wondered that too. I don't know
Because he's very talented. Chris Paul is not getting any younger, so he is getting older. And the only reason they made the move was to get rid of Westbrook once Paul George got traded.
Did you like that they got rid of Westbrook? Did you agree with that? Do you think that's what they should have done?
I mean, I think for Russ it was the best thing because the thing is that he's at a point in his career. He's got 12 years in the league. He's 30 years old, and the thing is he needs to win at this point because he gets such a bad rap. For somebody who doesn't come through in big moments. He doesn't make great decisions. He's one of the most dynamic point guards that I've ever seen from athletically, his ability to be versatile, get rebounds, obviously dish the ball, be athletic. Russell is, one of the greats, to ever play. But the thing is, he's at a point where he just now needs to win because if he doesn't win a championship, the only thing that people are going to look at him is that, well, he was a great player, but he played with so much talent and he was never able to, influence it.
Yeah.
And to be able to influence his game and just be able to win with those players. So it's like I want him to get that stigma off of his back. And I just think being with the Young Thunder wasn't going to do anything for him. He would just be able to put up nice stats, but
that's true. People were looking at him like a stat patter, and they were looking at him a triple-double machine. What player did you hate on the Knicks? Says Alex.
What player didn't I like on the Knicks?
I guess he's saying like which one did you hate? I don't think he hated any players, but didn't like. I guess I don't know.
There were a lot of players who I didn't like that were on the team.
I'm kind of concerned. Does he mean now or does he mean in the past? Do you mean overall, Alex?
So just let me know in particular, because
in particular, explain it more. Like, what do you mean exactly? Do you mean now or just all time? Because I'm pretty sure Louis can name tons of Knicks players he hated, not hated, but disliked or anything like that. Because I could name tons of Magic players I didn't like back in the day. And there's some that I really love. Like, I really liked Nick Anderson, but the fact that he missed those free throws, I was really pissed at him, man. And the free throws in the finals, because if we took that game one, I think it could have been a different series. Yeah, we may still have lost, but we would not have got eliminated. I don't think we would get eliminated in 4 games. And obviously it would be like, I think we could have hung out a little bit longer. Which LA team will be eliminated first?
Oh, that's a good question.
That is a great question. I think they're going to play each other. I really think they're going to play each other. And I think that the Clippers should win, in my opinion. I just think they have more depth. And what do you think, Louis? What do you think about this?
So that's a really good question. And the crazy part is when I did the 1 through 16 format, and things changed, because that now even some of the matches, when you look at it, there were some West teams playing East teams. And the crazy part is I ended up having the Lakers and the Clippers in the finals, which is crazy. And I had the Clippers winning in 7 games. So I thought that it was going to be a 7-game series with them winning in 7. But to be honest with you, when you look at the NBA, I really feel like that they want that Western Conference Finals matchup so badly that they're gonna try to help make sure that those two teams are there at the
Oh
very
yeah,
end to see who comes.
it's gonna be
But
those.
if I would, but it's a tough question, and it's gonna depend who they match up with, and who is gonna match up. If I was to pick one, I hate to say it, but it might be the Lakers. It might
Ooh,
be.
and
It
why is
might
that?
be. It's bold, but it might be.
I mean,
I
it
think
could be. I mean, I like every time I pick the Clippers or Lakers, like people always say, we always pick the Clippers, but I just think that the Clippers have a little bit more depth than the Lakers. I like some of their players off the bench a little bit more than the Lakers. I like the Lakers starters a little more than I like the Clippers. But
yeah,
I'm not like even I could see it go either way. Is my point. But
yeah.
I have Clippers being a slight favorite in just my opinion. What do you think?
The thing I have the Clippers in the slight, not saying here like for those Laker fans or anybody who are fans of LeBron or anything like that, I'm not saying that they don't have a chance because I've been adamant all season that the Lakers have an opportunity to win a championship. They really do, because they have two dominant players in LeBron, who's playing great in his 17th year,
Yes.
and Anthony Davis, who has just been unbelievable his whole career, especially when he has been able to be healthy. He's dominant, and I think that that it can really go either way. It's really hard. It's just I put my money on the Clippers just for the fact that I just think that they're a little more deeper than LA. And LA, the thing is that when I look at guys like Danny Green and I look at Avery Bradley, LeBron and AD are going to have to be so dominant that you're just hoping that in just one game, at least one or at least two in this case, because Avery Bradley had a great game when the Lakers beat the Clippers. And even though the Lakers lost to them in the first game of the regular season, Danny Green had 28 points. So you're going to have to hope for two games that two role players are going to have to give him 20 points. And then you have the Kyle Kuzma factor, which is going to be big too, because people are just saying Anthony Davis dominating, but Kyle Kuzma coming off the bench, he's going to be key. If he can pretty much match what Lou Williams is off the bench, I can't see why the Lakers don't have an opportunity to win. I'm just banking my money on the Clippers just because they just got Joakim Noah. He'll be able to help them defensively. And I just think the depth, and I feel like that the Clippers, they're hungry,
Yeah.
especially because they have some players that have, especially Paul George, he has something to prove, considering how they label him as somebody who doesn't perform well in the playoffs and
Never
big
got a
games.
championship,
He doesn't have a ring, and he has said that he's never had the team to really compete against LeBron. So
Yeah.
the fact that now that he's with Kawhi Leonard and they're deep, he feels like this is the opportunity. And he even said himself, he said he believes that they have a championship team. He said no excuses, and I said it with this quarantine going on.
That is such a great point, Louis. You know why? I didn't even think about what you said now, because Paul George, people forget how good he was. He's not that same player, but he used to be so good that he used to almost beat the Miami Heat when he was on the Pacers. He gave them a challenge. All he had was he had a pretty good team with Lance Stevenson and Roy Hibbert and all that, but he gave him a challenge with that. So I can imagine with Kawhi, Lou Williams, you're talking about all these players that they have. They're also what I like about the Clippers is I think they have better defensive players than the Lakers do.
Right.
Yeah, that's just what I think. Like Paul George is a pretty good defender. So is Kawhi, and so is what's the other guy that they and they also have Montrezl Harrell, and I'm trying to think who the point guard is. I know he's a good defender too.
They have quite a few of them. So okay, so you got Kawhi and Paul George, you got Patrick Beverly, you have
Patrick, that's the guy I was talking about. Patrick Beverly. Totally forgot his name. I don't know why. But Patrick Beverly is such a great defender, and he plays point, and you need a guy like that. Especially in the playoffs. He's big time. I mean, yeah. Valix, he wants to know now, which player on the Knicks now do you hate?
Player on the Knicks right now that I hate?
Yeah, that you hate. I guess you can't, like, you just
okay, let me see. I'm trying to think about who I don't like on the Knicks.
Before you say it, I'll tell you who his player is and tell me what you think about him. Julius Randle is a player he hates the most. He calls him No Handles Randle. That is literally the nickname he has for Julius Randle. Do you agree with him as the guy you hate the most, or do you have somebody else in your mind?
I don't hate Julius Randle. I think he's talented, but Randle's problem is, one, they don't have a good team around him, and I just think that he just forces up a lot of shots that he doesn't need to. So I just think that his IQ in terms of on his offensive game needs to get better. But no, he has talent. I mean, if he hates him, that's fine. I'm not gonna go there. I'm not a big fan of Frank Ntilikina.
Yeah,
I hated the fact that the Knicks drafted him. I
yeah,
hated it. I hated the
yeah.
fact that they drafted him. No disrespect to him, but it's just number one, he just doesn't look confident playing out there. I know he got better. I know he's got some defensive skills, and I know that he's young, but I just don't like the fact that he's just too passive. And I really wish that the Knicks did not draft him. With all due respect, he's one of the
Yeah.
people that I
Well,
cannot stand.
yeah, Louis Sports Network likes the Knicks. That's his favorite team. It's okay if you're late, Aiden. Don't worry about it. You come in when you can come in. That's what we all try to do. I forgot Patrick Patterson's on the bench too for the Clippers. That's a great point, Mile.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
right.
he can make a difference. There are just
Yeah.
they really. They got Marcus Morris, who I didn't even mention.
Hmm.
Like, on the bench, he's a good player.
Yeah.
Does
That's
anyone?
really deep.
Yeah, we see you, Jared. You're not really saying much, but yeah, I see you, Jared Williams. I see your comments. If you have a question, just ask it. We're trying to go through everybody right now, and if I have something, I always ask them too. Yeah, or if you have any questions, Louis, you're free to ask as well.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah.
What was I gonna say? Who else? For your Magic, since we had kind of talked about the Magic, and I know that Bradley Beal, is one guy that you feel like they should go after, but and I know you was kind of like iffy as to like why were you thinking about that, but this is why I mentioned him, and I want
Derrick
everybody
Rose.
else.
I already
Yeah, Derrick
know
Rose. I
it's
want. I wanted to get, and the thing was is that I thought that he would be good for the bench, and I said that because he would give them much more firepower. And the thing is, he's a different player now. He's not as athletic as he once was. He can still get up to the rim, but I just wanted to get your thoughts on, like, do you really think?
I
Do
mean,
you think that Derrick
I
Rose?
like it's not a bad idea, but the one thing I don't like about Derrick Rose is his health concerns that he has
Mhm.
all the time. And the
Yeah,
thing is, I would love him if he could stay healthy and be on the team. I would love that. But he gets hurt, and then like if he's coming off the bench, I mean that's great. But like if he gets hurt, that's just gonna suck. And then I don't want to. I hope that like we could trade for him and he stays healthy, but you can't.
yeah,
You
bank
never
on yeah,
it's the injury history that scares me. I like Derrick Rose as a player. As a backup
yeah,
point guard to Markelle, he's perfect.
yeah.
But do you think he would be willing to take that? Is he a backup on the? I know he's a starter, right, on the Pistons.
Right now
Like,
he's starting. He's starting because they trade. Oh, I just forgot. Because they traded Reggie Jackson to
oh
the
yeah,
Clippers. So that's another player.
another player. Like hear these players. These guys were not bums. These guys were players who started on teams and they're on
Mhm.
the Clippers. Just pick me up, whatever. That's the reason why I think the Clippers have shown that they can beat the Lakers. I know it's regular season, but they still show that they beat them twice, while the Lakers only beat them once. Leonard, Patterson, Williams are former. Yeah, I know the former Raptors. Which NBA has the best young core? All right, this is gonna sound biased, but I really do think it's the Orlando Magic has the best young core. If you look at it, Vucevic, Gordon, Isaac. These are guys who could be. Vucevic is an all-star. I think already he was an all-star last year.
Yeah,
He wasn't this year. Gordon is he can dunk. He just needs to work on his three-point shooting. Isaac is a great defender, as you mentioned earlier. Markelle, if Markelle can fix his shot, I think he could be a great player. And we just need that shooting guard. But that's just people are gonna say that's biased. I really don't think that's biased, but I really do think that's one of the teams. Which team would you say has the best young core instead
there's
of
quite a few teams. So I do look at Orlando, and I like their position in terms of the Eastern Conference. You have to look at the Pelicans' young core.
Mhm.
That's another one that you got to look at with Ingram
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Ingram. I know people give Lonzo a bad rap, but he's now starting to feel more confident as an NBA player now. And then obviously you have Zion. So that's I look at the kids in Memphis with Jaren Jackson, Dylan Brooks and John Morant. I think that they have a
Great
nice
young
core
squad,
themselves.
too. Pelicans
Very,
also, that's great. Somebody said Mavericks. I think Mavericks have a good young squad also.
they do too. Yeah, definitely. We got to mention the
Okay, now I
Mavericks.
gotta ask you about this. What did you think about the whole Porzingis thing? The Porzingis, debacle and how he got traded and like he wanted out. Like, were you mad at him for that, or did you understand where he was coming from?
To be honest, I was really mad at both sides because I was really trying to understand the story on how he got traded. There's been a lot of finger pointing on both sides, and I know that Porzingis wasn't really happy with the organization because they traded Melo, and he didn't want him to leave when he got traded to OKC. And obviously Porzingis had that ACL injury that he suffered against the Bucks. I remember it vividly when he, dunked the basketball and then he tore it. And there were a lot of stories back and forth that they were saying that, well, uh, Porzingis is saying that he really wasn't happy with the organization and he doesn't like the direction that they're going. You're saying that you were supposed to get some players to build around, and I'm not really happy here. And the organization was saying that he had already he said that he wanted to stay, but the organization was saying he would demanded a trade. It was just really weird, that whole dynamic. And I said, you know what?
It really pissed me off. It really pissed me off, to be honest. But yeah.
Yeah, and so I hated the fact that we were losing Porzingis because I felt like that he was that one gem that could have been that light in a dark tunnel that could have got us to probably sign some free agents. Because you look at him, he plays power forward / center, athletic, 7'3". He has the ability to shoot the three. He has a nice touch around the basket. Real talented. And I said if we could have kept him,
yes,
we probably would have been able to build some nice pieces around him. It's just they decided and look, I'm not mad at him for leaving at the end of the day. It's just because the front office to me is what pisses me off the most. And it's like, if we get rid of the people and get actually smart investors, that's the thing is like for any championship team, it always starts at the top and then it trickles its way all the way down the bottom. So if we clean house at the top, I'm telling you, we'll definitely be back.
That's exactly the same situation the Magic were in with Rob Hennigan. He was a horrible GM. He was a GM from the Thunder, and I'm like a assistant GM, I think he was. And I'm so happy we got rid of him and we got the guy from the Bucks who drafted Giannis. I think he could be pretty good. I think his name's John Hammond, but his name's escaping me right now. But I think that's his name. So that that's the Knicks. It pissed. I want to talk about the Porzingis thing for myself too. It pissed me off. Why? I'm not a Knicks fan, right? But I live in New York, and I want the team to be good. I do. And I go to Madison Square Garden. I do watch the team from time to time when they play the Magic and some other teams. So I really do want them to be good. And if they were good, I wouldn't mind it, because the Knicks have been bad for so long. Now, I don't want them to be better than the Magic, obviously. But I thought Porzingis was going to be the guy that started changing stuff for the Knicks, that they were going to build around him. He was going to be the superstar for the next 10 or 15 years or whatever, however long he could play for. And they traded him. And I understand why they traded him, because he was upset and all that. But it was like, damn. You know what it reminded me of, Louis? It reminded me of the Dwight Howard situation. That's why.
With the Magic.
Yeah, that's why. I mean, Dwight Howard obviously stayed with us a long time. But when he was with us, he was complaining like Porzingis. But now I think Porzingis will realize that he kind of messed up. And I'll tell you why. Yes, he'll be on a good team with the Mavericks, but he will always be second fiddle. When he was in New York, he was the main person, and that's what you want. That's what a lot of players want. Like, I don't know, he will be on a good team, but I still don't think that team is good enough to win a championship yet. They still need more pieces.
Well,
first overall. Wow. Okay. Yeah, no, go ahead.
I was just going to say that, with Porzingis going to Dallas, I'm happy that he's on a good team. But I just think the way the style of play that Luka plays, when he got injured, Porzingis actually played his best basketball when he was hurt. And then when he came back, he had to once again become second fiddle. So Luka's got to figure out how to be able to get his and able to have Porzingis be able to get his points too, because I feel like Porzingis can do more. And they obviously have to become a better defensive team, which is Dallas's problem. So once they become better defensively, and Luka and Porzingis find a way to complement each other, I could see them as being the next tandem. It's funny because Dallas was one of the teams that I looked at that could be a potential dynasty in years to come, as long as they build the right way around them, and Luka and Porzingis can complement each other, kind of like how Shaq and Kobe were able to do, and Jordan and Pippen and stuff like that. Like, they were able to win. So, for them to complement. So I could see them. It's just they just got to build the right way, get better defensively, and they find a way to complement one another. They could be dominant. They can really be dominant.
Yeah, no. And I was really hoping the Porzingis thing would work out. And then, I was also hoping that the Knicks would. And I've actually, so I don't know if you know about this, but I actually covered the NBA lottery last year. Just went live and was just doing a reaction to it and all that. I love basketball. Basketball and football are my favorite sports.
Okay.
And football is like a third. But so I was doing and I was doing it, and I was like, come on, Knicks, you're going to get first, because they kept going down. When Lakers got fourth, I was like, what? How the hell did Lakers get fourth? I felt like it was a little bit rigged. Anyway, then when the Knicks got third, I was like shocked. I was like, wait, what? Third? They should at least get first or second. This is bullshit.
I
Because
know.
you got Zion or Morant. You could have either one of those, and that would have been great for your team. It was, and then you got Barrett, but I don't know if he's. I mean, I hope he's good. I hope he turns out. What is your thoughts on RJ Barrett? What do you think? How do you think he's going to be on this team?
So RJ Barrett is kind of a question mark for me. I know he was highly talented out of college, and I know that his godfather is Steve Nash, so he will be working with him on, obviously, with his playmaking
Yeah.
and his ability to, obviously shoot. I mean, he has to develop his shot a little bit more, I think, because now he's in the NBA level. But I mean, he could definitely be something. I could definitely see him probably making, I don't see him as a superstar player. That's one. I don't think he's that kind of a player. That's one. But I think if he can prove his game well enough, he could definitely be a potential all-star in this league. And like I said, with the way that um, the top all-stars are really mostly in the Western Conference, so I think he has an opportunity to make it in the East. I see all-star potential with RJ as long as he works on his game. But I think that that's kind of his ceiling. I would be shocked if he goes beyond that because there's always these players that they get drafted high, but you look at them in their game and you're like, I don't know if they're going to be, as great as their draft stock was. But then, like I said, he could surprise me and he could become something. But I think right now, at least his ceiling right now, at best, is to me an all-star at the very least.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple of all-stars.
And that'd be great, I think, if he is an all-star because the Knicks need somebody like that. But what do you think about Kevin Knox? A lot of Knicks fans are out on him. What I'm hearing, they're just like done with him.
I think my thing with Kevin Knox is that one, he really doesn't get a lot of playing time. So that I think that's something that people really need to look at when looking at Kevin Knox. I mean, he's talented. He has the talent, and I was actually very high on him. And I said the Knicks need to get Kevin Knox because I think that he could definitely blossom. But it's like the thing is with the players that the Knicks have brought in, he's kind of become an afterthought. So it's like he's not really getting, he really hasn't worked on his game. So that's kind of one of the things that's bothering me about him a little bit. But it's like I think we're just kind of expecting a little too much. The Knicks, they just are a dysfunctional team. It's like I don't know, they don't really have an identity. So I don't really know what team they're trying to be. So they have to figure out who their head coach is going to be. Then it's like they have to kind of figure out who is going to be the player that's going to really be, kind of like the focal point. So they don't really have a focal point. So with Kevin Knox, it's like I can't hark on him too much because it's like he's kind of lost in the shuffle, honestly, man. So it's like he's got the talent, but he's just lost in the shuffle.
I feel like he doesn't get to play as much. That could be something with how it's coaching and maybe also like well, somebody said something here that he said Knicks trading Randall. Do you think that that's possible? Knicks looking to trade Randall?
Well, it's going to be difficult to trade that contract, and it's going to be on what team is going to be willing to take him, or if they need a power forward. So if it's a team that needs a power forward, they can definitely try to see what trade options are available. So it would, to me, it would depend on what team really needs a big man, who is athletic, can put the ball on the floor, even though Valek said no handles Randall, but but I think that Randall, to me, he's good. And when he's healthy, Randall could put numbers. I mean,
that's what I said. I told him the same thing. 19 points, I think he was averaging.
He did it with New Orleans last year. So it tells you, man, that especially the key thing for Randall always is to stay in shape because he really doesn't perform as great when he's out of shape.
He's the ultimate team. He would be happy just to get rid of Julius Randle. Okay, you want to get rid of him, but who are you going to replace him with? Plus, you got to remember that a team is going to be willing to trade for him and that enormous contract that the Knicks did give him. I would love to hear if you have a trade offer, Alex. On that.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Yeah, because you know what, I would have to honestly, I would have to go back into like one of those trade machines to see like what team would he.
Has a contract would be the cap and all that has to fit too. It's not just
You got to do cap, and then it's like you have to make sure the contracts match in order for the trade to go through. It's like again, I have to think what team would be willing. Like what team is missing a power forward that can fill that spot, whether it be a starter or coming off the bench. And the thing is, Randall wants to start. He's a starter, so it's like you have to figure out.
He's a pretty good power forward at this. I don't understand why. I understand like people don't think he's a good fit for the Knicks, but to get as much hate as he does from Valek and some other Knicks, I don't understand it, to be honest. I get the contract, But
Yeah, no. That team is just completely messed up. Like I said, this team doesn't really have an identity. So it's like you have to clean from top, and like they have a lot of things that they have to do. Honestly,
Nick should get Jonathan Edwards, but I don't think they will have a top enough pick to get him. It
yeah,
depends. You can see what the lottery. This thing, we don't even know what number of pick they have. When the lottery comes out, we will see.
Yeah, sure.
I hope they don't get LaMelo because his father could be so Lonzo Ball's father. It's just
Listen, yeah.
You can put a lot of pressure on somebody. Imagine him in New York, the biggest city. It'd be crazy.
He is gonna try to sponsor his kids so hard. He was doing it with Lonzo when he drafted to LA, and you have to understand LA and New York are the two biggest markets, like pretty much, in the US. So if LaMelo gets drafted, I think LaMelo is gonna get drafted by Golden State. Me personally, just because the fact that Golden State are gonna have a top pick, which they
have the number 1 or number 2 pick. Depending.
Yeah, so I feel like the Knicks I mean, LaMelo would be, it would be a star, but it's like just having that headache on LeVar. No disrespect to him at all, and I know what he does for his kids, but just to have him all the time. I mean, he will be such a talking head all the time, and he'll be invited on shows.
Yeah, I'm telling you, that'll be a nightmare. Randall for Kuzma, I don't think that actually works in terms of contracts. I don't know. You could tell me better.
Kuzma is on a rookie deal, so he's not in his fourth year yet. So
wouldn't work, just financially.
Yeah, financially already that wouldn't work.
Players and shit for that to go through. If the Knicks can get back to the playoffs, if the Knicks can get back to playoffs form, would be great. Yeah, that would be awesome because the Knicks, Madison Square Garden would be popping. It's already popping. It'd be even more. And the NBA would be so much better if the Knicks were good. Honestly, they would be. There's a lot of teams that I wish could be good. I have no hatred towards the Knicks. People think I don't like them, but it's only because trolls on my channel always come about being a Knicks fan. Oh, you should have been a Knicks fan, or you should have been a Nets fan. Yeah, because Magic never won a championship, and my people love to remind me about the Magic never winning, even though the Knicks won in the 70s. But I'm like, even if you're a Knicks fan, you didn't see the 70s one, so what the hell? I didn't see it. I'm pretty sure Louis didn't see it. So
all I did was see highlights. And look, with the Magic, it's like people have to remember that this is an expansion team. The Knicks have long existed.
Ohio. That's what I always try to tell them. And I know there are other teams that have done it.
Yeah.
Why do you think of Kyle Lowry trade rumors? Personally, as a Raptors fan, I love it. We can get something out of this old man.
People have criticized me and said a bunch of things, especially Raptors fans, when they came on my channel during the playoffs. 2019, I remember when I was doing playoff games, and because I do stream playoff games, I actually started doing that. So it's a lot of fun. But Kyle Lowry, listen, he is another one that kind of reminds me of DeRozan in the fact that he loses confidence when he's not playing with another player that's like poised, calm. Like he played his best ball playing with Kawhi Leonard because Kawhi Leonard doesn't get too high, too low, and it helps being in a system like where he's like, pretty much poised. Like he doesn't get rattled. He just goes out and plays his game. And you saw that go down with the rest of the players. They all play much more confidently. So that's with Kyle Lowry. Listen, he's playing well this year, considering the fact that that Kawhi Leonard, is obviously gone. But I said that they needed to get rid of Kyle Lowry at this point just because he is older, and it's time because they have to kind of get in the younger direction. Pascal Siakam right now is the piece right now. He's a younger player.
Great player. Oh my God, he's so good.
Yeah, he improved this year. He made the All-Star team. He's a most improved player. I mean,
I like Van Vliet also. I think he's another great player on that team, young guy who can play pretty well. Can you shout out? Yeah, shout out to Bronco Fanatic. Valix thinks that they're just gonna waive him. They're just gonna waive Randall. I don't think that's gonna happen.
I don't see that happening, honestly. Randall's an all-star. He's an all-star type player. I don't think they're just gonna get rid of him like that.
These people are disrespecting Randall.
If they can get some value,
for Randall. What? No, Randall is not that bad. You guys are just
I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, he's not as bad as people. Yeah, you have to get something good for him. Yeah.
Listen, and at this point, as a Knicks fan, I want to actually see the product. I wanted to see it get better because, again, look, the Lakers are back in the playoffs. That's good for the NBA that you have the top-tier franchise back in there. You get the Knicks in there, man. It's even more better for the NBA. Just think of what that's going to do. Money wise, that's going to be great for the NBA. And then more fans wanting to come at the Garden. And we look, I haven't been to a Knicks game since 2014, and those tickets are expensive to come by. They're very expensive.
They are.
You have to be lucky if you get themselves against. I usually try to get them against one of those small market teams, just because those tickets are like.
When they play Orlando, it's so great. It's like a small market team. It's not that expensive, and I use an app that like it's called Game Time. And it's pretty
I
good.
love that app.
Yeah, you get last second deals. So, I was lucky enough to see it before this whole COVID thing happened.
Right.
And I work pretty close to Madison Square Garden, so hey, just get off of work, go straight there, boom, perfect.
Go straight to the game.
And then
exactly.
I just go back to.
I've been going to more Brooklyn Nets games, and just to share a little quick story, like my favorite Brooklyn Nets game to go to, even though the Nets lost, I got to see them play against Golden State. So I got to see them when Durant was there, Steph Curry was there, Klay Thompson was there. I got to see that. Like that's something I'll cherish.
Yeah.
I don't care if the Nets got blown out. Just to see those players there, like was just a thrill, because like you dream of seeing like the best players, whether it's at the Garden or whether it's at Barclays Center, and just to see them there was just it was
These people are so funny. Spike Lee needs to see some more good Knicks basketball before he dies. I think Spike Lee said he's done with the Knicks for at least 1 year because they kicked him out, and he was really upset about that. I could be wrong. You correct me, Louis, if I'm wrong, but I think he said for 1 year at least he's done with them.
Yeah. So everybody knows that Spike Lee is a season ticket holder. Everybody knows what's happened with the recent incident that happened with Charles Oakley when he got kicked out, and what happened. It was an ugly scene. And they, so what happened was that they're telling him that, they told him to go sit at a different side of the arena. They didn't want him going through a certain pathway. He got into an argument with them, and he said, and immediately he went on ESPN the next day and complained and basically said that he was pretty much done with the Knicks, considering that he's been with the Knicks over 30 years, doing season tickets. So I was just kind of surprised. It just lets you know where they're at as a franchise, and James Dolan pretty much speaks for everybody. So I mean, for Spike to see winning basketball again, they gotta improve.
I think that's a good thing for Spike to do, to say, I'm not going to support this team until they start winning or make some changes, because he's a long time, every year he was a season holder. That would bring some change, I think, especially with how they treat the people there. I don't really like that. Like, with that one guy that said sell the team, and then Dolan wanted to kick him out. Remember that? And then
I saw that, and he told security, he's like, this guy isn't going to be coming. For
I think that guy was banned. And I don't know what happened if he unbanned him, but he was banned for that day at least. He kicked him out.
Yeah, no, I know. I thought it was ridiculous, and it was when I saw that, I was like, you just gave me even more reason not to come, to the Garden. Like I was even trying to consider to think if they would try to come against a good team to try to come to the Garden. But I said, you know what? No. I said, thank you for making it painfully obviously clear for me not to come to any more games.
Yeah.
I will not come until you're gone. Once you leave, I'll come back. Until then, I'll be going to Barclays. I think it's right now.
When I go to a Knicks game, it's not for the Knicks. It's usually to see the Magic player or some other team. But somebody said the Magic trade for DeRozan, and we already talked about this. I don't think so. I don't know what did you say? They should or they shouldn't trade for DeMar?
So DeMar, well, we were talking about for the Knicks.
But for the Magic, though, do you think the Magic should trade for DeMar?
For the Magic, I think that they should stay away from that.
Yeah, I think so too, because I just feel like that's another shooting guard we have that can't shoot threes, and we really need a guy who could like shoot threes, be a pretty decent defender, like a Bradley Beal. That's the exact type we need. Somebody said Randall is better than Dinwiddie. I totally agree. Randall's a starter. Dinwiddie's a bench point guard. Although I do love Dinwiddie. I think he's a great talent. And then he said, no way, Dinwiddie's so much better. I don't know how you got that. Should the Knicks trade for Tris? Hell no. Just not trade for Chris Paul. I do not think anybody wants to see that.
I love what Chris Paul is doing with OKC and what he's doing with Shai Gilgeous, but the problem is he's 35, and the thing is he's making too much money. I'm sorry, age and contract just tells me to move away from Chris. And like I said, I'm afraid that he gets injured again. So it's like, and he's been dealing with a lot of injuries, especially now, even down late in his career. I just don't want to see that. I just think it's bad. I get it for a culture change, but no, I like him in OKC, or at least go to another contending team that could use him. But I don't want to see him with the Knicks. Don't. And I love Chris Paul.
I love Chris Paul too. Can the Nets be a number one seed? That I think that's very dependent on Kyrie and KD how they play together. But what do you think? Do you think they could be number one automatically?
Listen,
Like,
I wouldn't say automatically. Like I said, obviously it's chemistry, so they got to work chemistry. Like I said, they got to figure out who their coach is. If they can add a third piece and them becoming better defensively, I think all
yeah,
those things can put the Nets in the top of the. Well, talent alone with Kyrie and KD can put. I already put them in the top four in the Eastern Conference.
yeah, I put them
Getting
in
to
top
number
three. Yep.
getting to number one, that's going to require some other things as well. But they definitely could be right there in the top three. Those two coming back, I put them in the top three in the East. Easy.
This is a great question. Do you watch football? Do you watch football? I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
you do. What is your
that's
favorite team in football?
I'm a ride or die Giants fan. I
Oh, me
love it.
too. Perfect. Okay, so that works. I'm a
Listen,
Giants fan.
I'm a Giants fan.
Yes.
There's other teams I've been watching in the league, honestly, but I do watch football. And just to let you guys know, from time to time I'll put football news, but what I mostly do is I do football streams. That was something I started doing
Yeah.
last year. So I do games. And yeah, I want my Giants. I don't like the way that Eli was treated and his exit. And I get it. We have to obviously move on, go in a different direction because Eli is older now. He got older and he ended up retiring. I do like Daniel Jacobs a lot. I like him a lot, and I think again, just building around him. Listen, if we could improve that offensive line, and give him protection, he needs receivers. Once we get receivers, man, I feel like, and obviously the Giants, you know, I thought we were. I know that when it comes to the numbers and stats, we were not great on defense, but I feel like we have a lot of potential with our young defense. I just think we need to just get better on offense. That's it. I feel like if we get our receivers, I mean, look, Evan Ingram will come back healthy. I'm looking to see what Saquon Barkley's going to do. Because listen, I know he had a little bit of a down year this year and he was injured. But I
Yeah.
think the Giants, to me, listen, I think they're taking steps in the right direction, man. I could see us getting maybe 8 wins. I'm gonna try. I'm
Yeah.
gonna aim a little bit high. I feel like we can become an 8-win team this year. But I'm looking at what the Bucks are. Getting Brady, getting Gronk. They have Mike Evans. They got OJ Howard. They got Chris Godwin. I mean, I really like what the Bucks did. Um, I wanted to ask you a question now. Like,
Go ahead. You can ask
what,
anything.
what's your feeling on the Saints, especially now dealing with the whole Drew Brees situation now and how the Saints are
Oh, the same.
like I'm
I
wondering
don't.
like how they're gonna be this year.
I don't know why he said what he said, but I know that he apologized for it, and I think they're trying to move past it. I think it was a terrible thing he said in the first place. I don't know why he said it. It was not in the right. It just. I don't know why he said it. It was like the dumbest thing he could have said. Even Malcolm Jenkins called him out for it, his own teammate too. Like he lost a lot of respect for him. I think it's going to hurt the team because the locker room, I think, is not going to be as kind to Drew Brees maybe before. How do you think it affects the Saints?
Um, you know, I think with the New Orleans Saints, the key it's gonna be crazy because what I hated was is that as soon as Drew Brees said what he said, I don't. The thing was he started fine in his statement, but then it was like when he changed it and kind of went to kind of like about him and the American flag, and he was kind of like he kind of really didn't understand what he was coming from, where obviously he was coming from, and then it was like the timing of his statement was kind of like, but what we're dealing with is crazy. And
Yeah, that's the timing was terrible. Oh my god.
listen, in terms of the locker room, like it really affected them because a lot of people called them out, and I felt. And listen, Drew is a great guy. He's done a lot for the New Orleans community. The thing is, he had a lot of people supporting him, and they started to burn his jerseys. I thought that was a little excessive and too far. And I understand that people are outraged, but a part of me felt like he kind of got set up in terms of like that statement. But it's kind of like Drew kind of should have understood the timing of what he said and like with what's going on. It can affect the locker room, but I think the key thing that can turn this all around for the Saints is going to be what kind of actions he takes. And I think that if he's someone that takes action and is in support of not just what's going on, and then let his teammates know that he made a mistake, and people are going to take it. Some people are thinking like, oh no, he wasn't really sincere. Other people are saying like, I understand what he said because he has a right to his opinion. And I think he was sincere. So it's really going to depend. And it sucks how they lost to the Vikings because I did see that playoff game, and it stinks. that they lost like that, especially with what happened against the Rams in the championship game with those blown calls in the end zone. Let me ask you this though. I'm eyeing myself on the Buffalo Bills a little bit, and I like their team, especially getting Stephon Diggs from from Minnesota.
Right. Me too. I love that.
Do you think that Josh Allen could take that next step and for the Bills to now start to become contenders? Because now Tom Brady's not there.
It's true. I think it is the Buffalo Bills division to lose. They have not only do they have that, they have a pretty good defense, and then they have Stephon Diggs. They still have John Brown, who hasn't gone anywhere. They have Singletary, and then they drafted another running back. So they're a pretty good duo of running backs. I like their defense, as like I said. So I think they're primed to win that, especially without Tom Brady over there. Now, I don't think New England's just going to fade away, but I don't think they're going to win the division. I think they would be probably second or third in that division. New England. Number one, I have the Bills. The Jets and Miami are kind of like, for me, at the end. What do you think about that?
The thing is, Miami they have some talented players on their team, and I became a huge Devontae Parker fan watching him last year. I think giving him the ball, he could definitely make plays. That's a 1,000-yard receiver, especially having him as a target. But Miami, like I said, they have some talent. I just feel like I feel like they need to kind of upgrade their coaching, and I still kind of look at them as kind of where the Jets are right now. I don't think that they're ready to, take that next leap in terms of the East. That's why I feel like that it's funny how New England, they've owned that East for so long because those teams have not really been great in that division. But now that they're gone, now the Bills can, take that next step and go there. And, with the Jets, it's kind of like Le'Veon Bell had a down year. Oh, they're good defense. The Jets have a good defense. It's just offensively, they got a lot of holes on that team.
They need to work more on their receivers and offensive line. They drafted Denzel Mims, but I don't know how good he's going to be just by himself. They should have made sure they re-signed Robbie Anderson. In my opinion, that was a big mistake for them. Josh Allen does not suck. He took the team to the playoffs. Yeah, he only completed 58% of his passes, but if he works on his accuracy, like Chad said here, I think Josh Allen could be pretty damn good. And I really do have. For me, the Bills have this division unless they make stupid mistakes.
Yeah, no, this is their division to win. That's why I feel like that they don't really have.
This is their time.
Listen, unless they have injuries, which I'm not wishing on, they have the talent to win this division. Now, in terms of how they go into the playoffs, I mean, playoffs are all about momentum because not even the best team doesn't always win, in the postseason. But the Bills definitely, they have a chance. For me, in my personal opinion, they could get themselves. They could possibly be a top 2 team, maybe not number 1 in the in the AFC, but they could definitely be. I could see them as even the number 2 seed. And
wow, that's pretty high praise. I don't see them that high yet. I see them as a number 3 top team because I'll tell you why. I think the Ravens are a better team, and I think the Chiefs are a better team, and that's where I would put the Bills right after those guys, probably in terms of really good teams in the AFC. And then the Browns, I know what the hell's going to happen with them. They have a lot of talent. They should be much better, but we'll see. I'm
really hoping that Baker Mayfield could get past behind them. What was a really bad year last year.
Really, you could name 19 quarterbacks better than Josh Allen. I want you to do it, Heat Nation. 19, go.
I got to see that. I don't know about that.
I don't know. I think he's definitely top 20. That is kind of crazy to say he's not top 20. Okay, yeah. What were you gonna say, Louis? Sorry for cutting you off there.
No. I was saying, I was gonna say that. No, definitely that. Josh Allen's got the talent. I saw him last year. Man, he can make some really, really good throws. I just think the key for him is he just got to be accurate. If he can, improve his accuracy.
It's his accuracy is true. That's true. Well, I also got to say he never had a top receiver. John Brown is not a number 1 receiver. He's a good number 2. He's actually better as a slot receiver.
Right.
The best thing they got was Stephon Diggs. Now, I think they gave up too much for Stephon Diggs, but now that they have a guy like this, they gave away a lot of picks that they shouldn't have. But to get a guy like Stephon Diggs, I mean, we already know how good Stephon Diggs is. And I think he's going to excel with Josh Allen throwing him the ball.
No, I couldn't agree more with that. And I feel like Minnesota is for me, the Vikings might take a little bit of a dip this year. especially I didn't like the fact that they didn't involve Stephon Diggs enough. They were too reliant on Adam Thielen and Dalvin Cook, and they really didn't throw the ball with him enough. So, and to lose him, I think is going to be a big loss for their offense.
Well, yeah, that's why Diggs was actually really frustrated and wanted to leave the whole situation. You know, he always felt like he wasn't getting enough throws his way, but I think with Josh Allen, he'll be doing that way more. But the Bills don't even need Josh Allen to be such a great passer because their defense is good, so they can just run. Look, all they got to do is make their defense and their run game and have that work out. They already have good running backs. Yeah. Devin Singletary is not like a workhorse, but he's pretty good. Last year, he had a pretty good season, and they drafted a guy. I forgot his name, but I know he's pretty good too. So I think that the Bills could be really good. And then on top of it, now they have Diggs and all that. Like, he will need to throw, but it won't. He has to improve his accuracy for sure. But I think that will happen with Stephon Diggs there.
Okay, what are your thoughts on the NFC East? Are you looking at the Cowboys? You got the Cowboys?
I just think there's so much. They have so much talent, Louis. That's the reason why I think that. I mean, I just think they got CeeDee Lamb. That was a steal. That
was a steal. That was a steal.
And they didn't need him. They don't even need him, but it's just like a luxury pick, you know?
Listen, you have Amari Cooper. You have Zeke. You get CeeDee Lamb in the draft. I mean, you have Michael Gallup. I mean, that's a lot of weapons for Dak. I wanted to ask you about the whole Andy Dalton situation. And for me, I'm just feeling really, 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 really iffy about this because I feel like for some reason, I feel like Dak to me is going to get.
I know what the Cowboys are doing exactly. They're trying to scare Dak Prescott into signing a contract. I don't think that they or have Andy Dalton as a backup, but I do not think that they're going to say like forget Dak and we're going to go with Andy Dalton. But they're going to tell Dak like, look, we have Andy Dalton. He could be a starter here. Look at all these weapons we have. But yeah.
Yeah. No. And it's like I really hope that finally the Cowboys can really put it together and really win this division because because it's every single year it's the Cowboys are going to go to Super Bowl, and like they have the talent and it's just they always find a way. The thing for me also for the Cowboys is they have to prove that they can beat really good teams because that was kind of their issue last year. It was like they would lose to very good teams and they have to prove that they can beat top teams in the NFL. They do that, I could take them more seriously as a Super Bowl contender, because they have the Super Bowl talent. They have a good defense. They have to prove that they can beat really good teams.
All right, so he said that's not the reason. I mean, maybe I said maybe. I didn't say that is the reason. I know Andy Dalton will be the backup. I just said you never know what people are thinking. I don't know what the management is thinking in Dallas. They always make like crazy moves. Like Dalton's a good backup. My question is, why would Dalton go there? He had other teams interested in him. And, I guess he feels like, I really don't think Dallas tries to keep offering Dak more money, a little bit more and more, and he's still not happy. So I don't know what's going on with Dak either. I don't know whether, like, how much money does he want at the end? Like, what?
Listen, because I know that I know Dak is trying to get a lot of money, and I know that he wants. And you know how it is in football with the guaranteed money, because I know the Cowboys are not trying to give him like all that guaranteed money, which is what he wants. So that's what he's looking for. So I think that's I don't know how much he wants, but I know he wants a lot of money.
Yeah, he wants the guaranteed. I think they're not giving him the guaranteed, which they're giving him more of the salary, but not the guaranteed, like you said. And that tells me that the Cowboys themselves are not that confident in Dak Prescott. Dak had a successful year because of garbage time. Yes, that is so true. Look at his games. All his games, they feel like he's down and he's just throwing these passes, and that's how he gets a lot of these. That is so true, Chad. I agree. What do you think?
That's why Skip. Oh my God, Skip was killing me the entire season with this whole thing that he was tops in QBR and the numbers he put up, and I said. And I kept watching Dak. I said he kept putting those. If you look at the fourth quarter specifically, Dak across the board, like he could have the best stats in the league. He probably was like number one in fourth quarter stats if you look at the numbers he put up. But it was like his numbers look good at the end was because of the numbers he put up in the fourth quarter. Especially when Dallas had no chance of winning the games, the numbers looked so good, and it was like, oh, look what Dak did in this losing effort. No, It's because, and I'm not trying to hate on Dak. Dak is a good quarterback. I'm just saying like. When it comes to top, it's like numbers can be really deceiving if you don't put things into context. And with Dak, it was like those numbers look so good, but it was like they were in garbage points at that
They
point.
came at the end when defenses were like, we already have the lead, so we don't need to do anything.
So it's like we're not even gonna bother playing you. So it's like, no.
That's the thing. You can't go by just stats. Yes, stats is a good indicator, but it can't be the only thing. That's why you need to watch the game. Because if you don't watch the game and you look at the stats, if I tell you Dak threw for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns, you'd be like, amazing game. But then if you look at the game, you're like, it's actually not that good because he did that mostly when the defenses let him.
Karam is right. Karam is right. Karam is right, though.
The defense wasn't guy to blame. It's defense was inconsistent last year, is what he says.
No, I agree with that. The defense was inconsistent. They would give up a lot of big plays. So they're talented, but they always, especially on third down, the
coach Jason Garrett.
But you know what though? That's Jerry Jones's fault, because Jerry Jones is about having yes men. He could have fired Garrett about 4 or 5 years ago.
Oh, he had many chances to do it. Yeah.
So, but he chose to keep him though that entire time. He finally decided to get rid of him. He could have got rid of him back in 2013, 14. He had opportunities. He just decided to keep him around.
Isn't it funny that Jason Garrett is on the Giants now as offensive coordinator?
Yeah, that's why when I was like, they hired Jason Garrett as offense, I was like, what? I was like, I don't know, but I'm gonna give him an opportunity. I'm gonna give him a chance. I
think he'll be actually pretty decent as a coordinator. Yeah. He's fine. But as a head coach, I just don't. I don't trust his judgment when it comes to coaching as much. Also, I think that like in Dallas, they kind of humiliated him behind closed doors because they didn't even let him call offensive plays when he was the head coach. What?
He's the head coach. He's the head coach. Like, how do you don't let him? Yeah, I don't understand that. So
I don't understand that either. Penalties too. Come on, are you really gonna blame penalties? I never heard someone say my team wasn't good because of penalties. You know.
Can't really just use that. I mean, penalties happen throughout the game. I mean, like they just don't happen at one point.
Penalties happen more to one side than the other. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Let's be honest. The Cowboys' offense runs on the legs of Zeke. That is pretty true too. If you look at the Cowboys being good, it was their defense and Zeke running the ball a lot. But I feel like Zeke, he had a good year last year. I was actually looking at it. I was actually surprised. I didn't know he had that good of a year. But the thing about him last year, I felt like they didn't use him the same way. They didn't give him the ball as much. What do you think about the whole Zeke stuff going on over there?
Well, I kept saying that Zeke was their most important player other than their receivers. And I feel like when they run the ball effectively with Zeke, I feel like it opens up the wide receivers. And I feel like that they were trying to pass too much and not realizing that. And they tried, and at times they kept putting Zeke like in the slot. And I said, yo, let him run the football.
They were trying to get Zeke as a receiver.
Yeah, like it just, I'm like, look, and it's like, look, you're kind of making yourself predictable, and it's like, I get it, it's the West Coast offense and all that because it's in the NFC, but it's like, dude, like, give Zeke the ball. It's like he can eat a lot of yards. You could tire the defensive line. You do that, trust me, it opens up your receivers. So it made no sense that Zeke was not getting enough carries, and like it was really hurting their offense, because this is a top offense with all those receivers in Zeke. Like, come on. It's like you got to understand what you have. So I think Dallas, to me, they need to make a more concerted effort running the football this year with Zeke.
I think this is true. Saquon is better than Zeke because he's played well even with that crappy offensive line that we had last year. Now, I'm hoping that because we drafted offensive linemen, I'm hoping that Andrew Thomas and Peart can be pretty good offensive rookie tackles for us.
Yeah, I'm really hoping I'm on that too. And like, I'm a huge fan of Saquon, especially because when he gets in the open field, like he's damn near unstoppable. Like the fact that he could turn short, he has great vision. Uses even with the crappy blocks we had, like with some of the blocks that he did, like some of the blocks that he was able to, at least utilize and able to cut to the outside, which is what he's really good at. And just a burst of speed. He could turn a small play into an explosive play. So he has home run type play ability. So I really hope that our offensive line, can really hold up this year because I think Saquon is I'm expecting 1,500 to 1,800 yards from Zeke, from Saquon if only if our offensive line is good. Because
Saquon missed 5 games and still, I know he had a thought. That's the thing about Saquon that I love is that he's that home run hitter running back. Like he can, at one time, you just don't know it. He could just go 90 yards so quickly and get a touchdown. That's actually what happened in the beginning of the season. We had been running Saquon. This is why I hated Pat Shurmur, because we'd be running him and he'd be running well, and then they'd stop running the ball for some reason. And I'm like, why? And they try to pass too much, and no, it just didn't work for us. I think we should have run more with Saquon.
No, we really didn't have the receivers to pass to, and it was like our play and our key receivers were out. They pretty much missed a lot of time, so it's like it didn't make any sense. We should have tried to keep running the ball to Saquon. He was our best player at that point.
Exactly.
So we really couldn't spread the ball because we really didn't have the players to be able to spread the ball to. So.
Yeah, also, like, Eli used to throw to Saquon more. I felt like they stopped throwing him the ball, too. The season before last season, they were throwing Saquon the ball more. But last season, they just totally took that out of the game plan. I don't know why.
Yeah, no, I really didn't understand why they decided. And I feel like we kind of suffered a bit more. I felt like we would have been in more close games. I'm not saying going to win them, but we would have definitely been in a lot more closer games if we kind of got Saquon more involved, because, like, he just has that ability to change the game, because he impacts the game. I know it's difficult because in football it's a bit different, because almost any player at almost any position, in terms of at least on the offensive side, can impact. When we talk about offensive line, helping, running backs, getting to the open field, or obviously a key block for a receiver to get an open catch, running good routes and all that. But it's kind of difficult. But just because of that, because so many spots that fill. But
I agree, man. And look, so Valek says, I'm a Cowboys fan. He'd rather have Barkley than Zeke. But then he does this sign, and then he said, Barkley less than Zeke. I think you put the wrong sign.
It's the other way around.
You meant to put it the other way around, but I get what you're saying. You'd rather have Barkley than Zeke. And you didn't need to write it twice, but we get it. Yes.
No, if the Cowboys had Saquon Barkley, oh my God, he would put up historic numbers, and they would run him the ball just a lot more. Trust me, the Cowboys would understand what they have.
Was much better. I totally agree. He says we got the best left tackle, and I've been saying he's the best left tackle, and got attacked on YouTube for Andrew Thomas. People were saying that it was worse or that it was this. I really thought he was the best. I really did, because I saw his highlights in college, and the fact that they said he was the most pro ready. Were you happy with the Andrew Thomas pick? I loved it though.
No, I thought it was great. Seeing his highlights, I said, oh my God. I said, if we could get him, I said, man, that would make our offensive line so much better. Oh my goodness. If we get him, I said, oh my God. I said, we would definitely become a much better team on the offensive line if we get him. I love Andrew Thomas.
You look like Anthony Davis, apparently, a little bit. It's
weird because
I've never heard. I don't think he does. Do you think he does?
Listen. First, it's crazy because people have said I look like AD, and then there's been other people who said I have a little resemblance to Chris Paul. Like, if I were to kind of shave, and looking younger, they would say I kind of have CP3's eye. It's weird. People have.
And then balance Grace, Louis does look like Anthony Davis. Wow.
It's crazy. I don't know. I don't think I look like AD, but I just kind of let it run with it because everybody's been kind of saying that. But
I honestly don't see it. If I saw it, I would have been like, yeah, you look like AD, but I do not see it at all.
I look in the mirror myself all the time, and I was like, do I really look like AD? I was like, nah.
I don't see it at all.
I was like, I just I don't know what people are seeing, man. Because
I don't know how they came up with that.
I really don't know. It's like, even when I first started the channel, like, people started checking out. Everybody would tell me in the comments, if I put a video out, oh man, it's like, oh look, it's like that's Anthony Davis. Is like AD. Is like, I didn't know AD had a YouTube channel, and I'm like, what? I'm like, no, I'm not Anthony Davis, man. I don't look like AD, but I just let it run with it, and I just get used to it, and it is what it is. But it doesn't bother me as much as it first did. So it's all good.
I mean, yeah, AD's a great player. There you go.
Yeah, so I'm like, you know what? If I look like Anthony Davis, I mean, that's great. I mean, I said I'm running for Defensive Player of the Year. I'm an MVP candidate. I'm a multiple-time also, so can't be that bad.
Yeah. Have things opened up in Manhattan? Probably not, right? Yeah, still.
So from what I'm hearing, they said that they are planning to open this week because of what's been happening with the looting and the rioting. They said that they're going to try to do that this week. I'm interested to see how that's going to work because I just feel like things are really not going to be as normal. I think it's just going to take time, especially with a lot of guidelines that I'm pretty sure that a lot of like places are going to have, and because it's just weird that people are talking about this practicing the social distancing, but it's like during these protests, like all these large crowds are like
Everybody
so
forgot
close
about
together.
it.
And I'm like, so wait, I thought we were supposed to be practicing social distancing. So I'm like, it can't be that bad then outside if we're doing all that. So I'm like, I'm wondering, are all these, places are closed and stuff. So it's just been a very weird year.
Yeah, I know. Same here. Everything's closed here too. I can't wait to get a damn haircut once the barber shops open up here.
Yeah.
Lakers for sure are winning the title. He doesn't even question. I think I don't know for sure. I think they have a good chance. I wouldn't say for sure. I don't think anything is for sure in the NBA.
They have a great opportunity. Like, I'm not going to sit here and just say, I'm not going to be showing any
I feel
bias.
like the league does look out for the Lakers. I really do, because that Sacramento Kings versus the Lakers, I really feel like the Kings could have won that. Somebody showed how many fouls. Do you know which series I'm talking about with the Kings and the Lakers?
I think you're talking about the one that happened in 2002, I believe.
Exactly.
That was the conference finals, I believe. That was
right.
Yeah.
That was the one where I feel somebody was trying to prove it, and I looked into it, and I was like, wow, I could see how people think that, though, because there were a lot of fouls called on the Kings, while like none were called on the Lakers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I can't. I'll tell you this. I'll tell you the truth. I really don't like the Lakers. I really don't like that, because they're just like, they win a lot, and that's the reason why I have a problem with them. And they beat the Magic, man, when we had the chance in 2009 to win.
Right? Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Man.
The thing was, I had a feeling that Laker team was gonna win just because of the fact that they can kind of. The thing with Dwight is
he choked. Dwight choked.
It's not just that, but if you look at his entire career, he's never really had a skill set, and it really hurts him because when you don't really have a skill set, and then it's like your game is really based on just more athleticism, and then that gets taken away. It's like kind of like, what else can you do? And because the league was transitioning to a more 3-point happy league, it's like teams really didn't have kind of like use for him. It's like you really can't run your offense through him because it's like it's all about the threes. It's not even about using the big man. And he's coming off the bench and he's doing great for the Lakers now. And obviously he's doing them in, not a lot of minutes now.
I love Dwight Howard on the Magic. I can't stand him afterwards because he made such a ruckus about. This is why I say I feel for you guys when Porzingis. But Porzingis did not make the ruckus that Dwight Howard did. Dwight Howard was just, you know what pissed me off also? There was a time where he could have just left, and instead he took like a 1-year deal with the Magic to stay with them. And he did that, and I was like, yes, he's going to stay here. And then he still wants to leave. And my biggest problem was he threw Stan Van Gundy under the bus. I don't think you should throw your coach under the bus. And then he pretended that he didn't do that. What is your thoughts on all that? Hey, what's up, Giants Alliance, by the way? And continue, Louis.
What I didn't like about that whole situation is that Dwight was blaming the Magic organization as to being conned into signing that deal. And I said, Dwight, you have a choice. You can either not sign that deal because you would have been a free agent, or you chose to sign it, which is what he did. So, and shout out to Kobe Sports. He decided to sign the deal, and then it's like then you started to blame management as if you got tricked into that. Then you decided to put your coach into that. Stan got nothing to do with that. And the thing was, Stan, what I got upset, what I felt bad for Stan, I felt bad of the fact that he had to take a lot of the blame, and then they were saying, and he stuck up for Dwight despite the fact that him and Dwight were having issues, and the fact that Dwight just pretended like everything was all peaches and cream, easy. Put this arm around him during the practice session. I was just not okay with that. And then, because then what happened was that Dwight, I felt like from the moment he left Orlando, he started to do a lot of finger pointing, and it's like you need to take responsibility for yourself. That's on you, man. Like like I see what happened with him in LA, and he had some injuries, and he was able to play well, but he just did a lot of finger pointing. And my biggest issue always has been with Dwight Howard, his inability to keep his composure. Because he easily always would get technical fouls, and they would always be in key moments. And then obviously he's not a good free throw shooter. Historically, I know centers are not obviously the best free throw shooters, but Dwight I just didn't like the fact that you can easily, get to his head mentally. So I feel like mentally that's been the weakest part. Now, for the Lakers' sake, that I hope that he's kind of gone past that. I don't know if he has, because he's had kind of moments in the season where you can kind of still get to his head, but I hope that he's gotten past that.
Well,
But
I think it's different though now, because
yeah,
back then he needed to be more dominant. Now he just needs to be a good bench player and come on. I don't think he even starts, right? He just comes off the bench on that team on the
yeah.
Lakers.
Oh, he comes
So
off the.
he's got a lot less pressure, so that's better for him. He cannot deal with pressure because when he was playing against the Lakers, I know the Lakers were supposed to beat us, but it should have been closer because he had Gasol guarding him, and people thought he was going to dominate Paul Gasol. But
Yeah.
Paul Gasol did such a great job. He manhandled Dwight Howard. He literally killed him in that series.
Yeah. No, the key thing was is that Pau Gasol was he's very skilled. So his skills can offset Dwight's defense. So he could pretty much hit him with a hook shot with either hand. So he can obviously shoot the jump shot, which takes Dwight out of the paint because Dwight is not really a good pick and roll defender, if anybody really knows that. So he's very good in the interior, off the help. He can guard his position well inside, but when you get him into trying to come outside, that's where, and then Dwight, you put him in pick and roll coverage, you could get him in mismatches. So, that was one of the things that the Lakers kind of exploited with going up against the Magic. So,
he's sensitive too, Dwight Howard.
Yeah,
mentally, he can't take it.
Too sensitive. Too sensitive.
Yeah, and the thing is, man, he could have. I feel like if he stayed in Orlando, man, I don't know what could have happened. I think he was fine there. They built the team around him, and they had 3-point shooters. It was great. Hiru Turkoglu or Rashard Lewis. Yeah, that probably wouldn't have worked forever, but they would have probably got somebody else. Now, Valek says, I knew OKC was going to choke a 3-1 against the Warriors. How did you know that? Did you know that was going to happen when Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook were over? They had a 3-1 lead on them. Did you think it was over, or did you see Warriors coming back and winning?
Well, the series was crazy because when I look at OKC in that 2016 Western Conference Finals, they presented a lot of problems for Golden State because Golden State is a finesse team and they predicate their game on shooting. OKC had the defense, so they had the bigs, something that Golden State has been historically weak in terms of their championship runs. So they didn't have the bigs to deal with. So they were not a good rebounding team, which is what OKC had. OKC, I believe, was third in the league at the time. I could be wrong, but they were top 5 in rebounding.
Yeah.
They were very stout defensively, so their bigs really gave them problems. Then obviously Westbrook and Durant also, so they were very athletic too. Something that Golden State wasn't either. They were very athletic, so they were able to take three out of 4 games, and they were actually the first team to give Golden State their first 2-game losing streak in the entire season. Cleveland was the first to give them their 3-game losing streak, and that was all in the finals. But OKC was the first to give them their 2-game losing streak, and Draymond was supposed to be suspended in Game 4 of that series. He was supposed to be suspended in the OKC series, but they kept him, and they ended up suspending him in the next round against Cleveland. But he was supposed to be suspended before that. And
I remember that. Yeah, he was supposed to be suspended. They didn't. I don't know why. And that would have made a big difference there.
Because it would have been Kevin Durant going up and Westbrook going up against LeBron and Kyrie and Cleveland.
Draymond makes such a big difference defensively for the Warriors. It's just like,
No, yeah, he does. And but what I didn't like is that in the last 3 games they started to they really played really good team ball, even though they were playing a little bit of hero ball. But the problem is they played too much hero ball. Everybody stopped getting involved. It was Durant and Westbrook taking turns, and they turned the ball over too much. They had 56 turnovers in that 7-game series. That's an average of 8 combined between the two of them. So I put the blame on both. I actually put the blame on both of them, and it was like I didn't like the way they executed in the 4th quarter. I felt like that was kind of like the biggest thing as to why they lost.
That is true, and I felt like Kevin Durant disappeared in some of those games. To be honest, what do you think of Draymond Green? I can't stand him. Well, obviously you can't stand him as a Thunder fan. I don't like Draymond Green also. I like his drive and his passion, but I don't like the shit talking. He does it a little too much. And I don't know. What do you think, Louis, about Draymond Green?
Well, shout out to Karan because Karan's been on my channel when I've talked about Draymond Green. I actually did a segment with Draymond, and I said that I'm really tired of his mouth, because
Yeah.
Draymond has been talking like if he's this like unbelievable player. I mean, he's compared himself with Dennis Rodman, which he's nowhere near that. He said that he can average 20 and 10 on a bad team. I have yet to see that, and he didn't do it this year on a Warriors team that pretty much has had Steph Curry
The
miss
trash Warriors team, yeah.
Steph Curry missed most of the season, and Klay Thompson pretty much since the finals of last year with the ACL. And the thing is, I like Draymond. Draymond is very good for what he does. I mean, he's a very good passer. He's a very good defender. Like, I'm not trying to take those things away from him. I mean, he's a defensive player of the year, for God's sakes. But my issue is with him is that he runs his mouth so much, but it's like he's all talk. And it's like when it comes to the action with some of these things, it's like he doesn't do it. He even threw Steph Curry under the bus, because people don't know this, but for those who don't know, he's on Clutch Sports.
Yeah.
Him and LeBron are, they're partners
On the
in that.
same thing, yeah.
They're in the same brand. And so
Same
they
brand.
had an episode where he was talking with Maverick Carter, one of LeBron's friends, and Maverick Carter threw Steph Curry under the bus. He was like, "Oh, Steph Curry doesn't play defense, and I could guard him and I could score on Steph easily." Draymond let him eat him alive the entire time and didn't say a single word. And then Draymond came back and said, "Oh yeah, I changed the league with me and Steph and Klay. Steph is the one that usually gets a lot of credit for changing the game." I'm like, Draymond, you weren't a part of that. Like, Steph, when it comes to changing the game,
I totally agree with
Steph.
you on that. Yeah, he just, oh man, his shit talking is too much, and it's like he I don't think he's as great as he thinks he is. Like you said, I think he's overconfident and cocky. And he's a good player, but he's not as amazing as he thinks. Somebody now thinks you look like Amari Stoudemire. What the fuck is Stoudemire? Is that the first time you've heard that one?
That is the very first time I've heard.
And I'm pretty sure Stoudemire is one of those players you don't like either, because I know when he came to the Knicks, he was amazing for like 1 year, and then he wasn't the same. Like, he started going down and down every year after that.
The thing with Amari has been it's been his injuries. That's the thing, and the thing is, people also have to remember that once Melo came there, it became about Melo, and so Amari wasn't really healthy for me to see how Melo and Amari could have worked. And the thing is that I thought the very first year that he came there, Amari was dominant. Like, he was one of the best players in the fourth quarter. He was averaging like 26. He looked like that, and like I was really excited when he first came there, because I really felt like we were going to be back. And remember, once we traded those pieces, it kind of changed everything for us, even though we had a couple of good years, but and then we kind of just tailed off after that. But
yeah,
when Amari was healthy, I felt that we were going in the right direction.
Yeah,
and I was really
good. I think, yeah, he was like an MVP candidate that year. That's how good he was playing that year.
I believe he finished 4th that year in MVP.
Yeah, like, that's crazy, So This is why. Okay, let me tell you, Louis. I like Knicks, right? But this is what gets me pissed off about their fans. They say this: at least the Knicks got a ring. He's talking shit to Karam right now. At least the Knicks got a ring, and then this guy is also a Knicks fan, says Knicks got chips. They're from the 70s, and I'm not trying to say that doesn't matter at all. But I'm trying to say, Alex and Chad, you guys have never seen the Knicks win. And honestly, the Thunder right now are a better team than the Knicks. Magic winning the chip next year? No, it's going to take a few years. The Magic deserve a ring. Yes, we do. We've been to 2 finals. And oh, my God.
Yeah.
It's crazy. We've been to 2 finals. One we got swept because Hakeem Olajuwon owned Shaquille O'Neal. And then the Dwight Howard one, which we talked about. Which, what's funny is, like, we probably shouldn't have got swept in the Hakeem one because we were winning. And then stupid Nick Anderson missed those free throws. I love Nick Anderson, but, man, why you got to miss those free throws? Shaq still talks about that. And what's funny about Shaq? People always talk about how he hated Orlando. He never said that. He actually said he wished he could have stayed in Orlando at that time. And he said, I've watched a bunch of, those roundtables that they have in the NBA. He always says, I wish I should have stayed in Orlando. Because guess what? Yes, he was happy that he won rings with Kobe, but he didn't like Kobe. He tries to pretend like he loves him now. I mean, yes, rest in peace, Kobe, right now. But he didn't like him at that time. He didn't like Kobe after the second or third championship. He didn't really like Kobe. They were feuding for a while.
Well, actually, they were feuding before that.
Right before that. Yeah.
Yeah, no. Shaq was jealous of what Kobe was becoming. That's one of the reasons why Shaq didn't like him, and he kind of felt like Kobe was kind of eventually going to become like. But that's also like on Shaq, because Shaq was the leader at the time, once Kobe started to grow and Shaq started to slack off, because Shaq had said this, they had a sit down with Kobe and Shaq, and he said after the first championship that he knew that he had Kobe was always going to be ready, so he could just pretty much relax. Because Shaq said that he was done after winning one ring. He said that because I think it was Kareem. Kareem criticized Shaq that he's great, but it's like he was never going to win one, and that he was never going to be looked at as one of the all-time great centers, let alone players, if he won a championship. And so once Shaq won one, Kareem started to say, could he win more? And a lot of people were saying, could Shaq win more? And now we regard Shaq as one of the greatest ever, because he was so dominant. But Shaq's jealousy of Kobe, it was when Kobe was getting attention and he was starting to rise as to become, that next great player. And they were comparing him to Jordan. And, I think once all of that, and because people knows how larger than life Shaq is, and Shaq has a huge ego. So, just like Kobe,
honestly, that's why he fit with the Magic so well, because Penny Hardaway was not an ego guy.
No,
he was never about that. He was always about passing the ball to Shaq. He loved playing with Shaq. But Kobe, yes, he liked playing with Shaq, but I think he cared more about his own numbers, to be honest.
No, that's true, because Kobe to me, he really was more about the individual goals in terms of what he wanted to be. He was about the numbers. He wanted to win championships, but he wanted to be in his way as being like the individual to do it.
Yeah.
Like, it took him a long time, even when he won rings, it took him a long time to finally understand the importance of playing with a team. It took him a long time to realize that. Shaq, it was, even though he was the dominant player, like he can really blend in with the team, especially knowing that they could feed him the ball. And Penny Hardaway's on record as saying this. He said, if me and Shaq had stayed together,
they would have won.
It extends for me his career, because I think he wouldn't have had the amount of injuries he had.
Yeah.
And then also, I think that with that kind of duo, they eventually win a championship.
And I agree with you, and that's why Penny Hardaway got hurt, because once he left Shaq, he had to take on a huge load by himself. This is why the Magic were not thinking back then. I would have gave Shaq that contract immediately and made sure he stayed there, made sure he was happy, because with him and Penny, I think they do win a championship eventually. I think they would have. Now, I don't know if they would have won 3, but I think they would have won at least 1.
Yeah, because the thing is that you have 2 players like that. Like, who wouldn't want to play with players like that? And I think that they would have made Orlando such a very attractive place to play.
Yeah, imagine Tracy McGrady comes later or whatever. I don't know if they would have still got.
Oh my god! That's the thing. Like, with the way that all of these things have played out, it's like one
funny.
of those,
it's so weird how like this stuff plays out. Like, then we got Tracy McGrady, but then we also got Grant Hill, and then Grant Hill was injured all the time. So that's terrible.
That it's funny, because I was talking on the Magic stream, and people were talking about Tracy McGrady and his inability to lead players out the first round. The funny thing about that Magic team is that they actually had a lot of they had like about 3 to 4 players injured in those brief years that T-Mac was carrying them into the playoffs. Like, some of those guys actually missed a lot of games, and I'm like, they probably could have won a lot more had they been healthy.
Hell yeah. Yeah. They got injured, and then it was only Tracy McGrady pretty much trying to carry the whole team. And one guy can't do it, and we've seen that,
Now, unfortunately, though, when I look at that 2003 first-round playoffs against Detroit, the funny thing is that I kind of get on T-Mac on that one, was because he said, I think it was after Game 4 when they went up 3-1. He said, "We're finally gonna go to the second round." I was like, "T-Mac, you shouldn't have said that."
He said that too early. I remember that.
I said, just take care of business, and then you could say that. But I felt like that took away the momentum from Orlando, and they just never really recovered. And he didn't shoot the ball great after that. But yeah, I think he not said that statement and just focused on winning. I think Orlando knocks off Detroit, because they were not as talented as the 2004 and then the 2005 teams, because that was a little bit less of what they were. But
are the Magic underrated? I think they are. I really do. I think they're a young team that's gonna, if they just get like 1 or 2 really good players, they could be insanely good. But they just don't have those players. Do you think that the Magic are underrated? I always, you know what I hate when people say the Magic suck. First of all, they do not suck. Okay, I'm tired of that. They do not suck. You can say they're not that good, but you cannot say that they suck. But what do you think?
No, I mean, look, they made the playoffs last year. They were competitive against the Raptors. It's just, a couple they could have won maybe another game here or there, because they were in a couple of close games in that series. So I don't think that they suck. I mean, they have a top 10 defense. I don't think a top 10 defense can suck at all, especially they
Yeah.
have nice young talent. I like Vukovic. I listen, he gave me some great fantasy numbers. I had drafted him in fantasy. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, he's a rebound guy
dude,
and
that
points.
dude is a beat. That dude is a
Yeah.
beast with the points and the rebounds. And look, I mean, again, you got Chum when he comes back healthy. Jonathan
See, this
Isaac
is
when he
why I
comes
don't like
back.
Knicks fans because they say we beat you too, though. Like you only count the one when you guys won. You only count that one. But go ahead. Sorry, that stuff just bothers me.
No, and it's like, Aaron Gordon, again, he's talented. He's just inconsistent. You got Markel Fultz. I mean, they have I'm not too high on Fournier because it's like
Yeah, I
one
don't like
minute
him.
he'll give
I
you
think we need to get rid of him. Actually,
1 minute he'll give you 35, and then the next game he'll give you
yeah,
5 points.
he's
It's
so
like,
inconsistent, and he hogs the ball too much, and he's an ISO type player sometimes. So it's like I don't like those type of
I
players.
mean, I mean, they have Terrence Ross. I mean, they have a
Yeah, I
really good
love
team.
Terrence Ross. Oh my god, I think he could be so good for us. I
So
wish they would
yeah,
start Ross instead of starting Fournier, but I think the reason they do that is because they paid him so much money, Fournier.
hmm
I really hope that they could trade him for something,
yeah.
If
I
they can
hope
get Bradley Beal for trading him and somebody else, some other players, whatever they need to do, but get Beal. We need Beal. I think for
listen.
Markel Fultz, Beal, Gordon, Isaac, Vucevic, that's a pretty good roster right there.
No, they can compete with anybody in the league with that lineup because you get instant 20 plus points right there. And then their defense is, again, it's among the best in the league. So top 10 defense, and you add scoring with that. Oh man, the Magic, they could compete with anybody getting Bradley Beal on their team. They just
Mm-hmm.
got to be healthy, and they just got to be better offensively. But they're right there.
Yeah, Thunder and Mavericks are Karam's two favorite teams. I know you like the Knicks. Do you have another favorite, or is it just the Knicks?
Uh, just for now, just for the Knicks, there's a lot of teams that I like, just watching, but I don't really have a second favorite. I just tend to just watch like teams and see what they're doing around the league. Like I've been impressed with the Thunder. Like I said, I like what the Pelicans are doing. I like, Memphis. I just follow a lot of teams. I've been impressed with the Raptors. Just when I thought that they weren't going to be as high as a playoff team this year. I mean, Miami has surprised a lot of people. I
Oh
like
my
what the Heat are
god,
doing.
I hate the Heat though. I can't stand the team. Dude, how is it that they got Jimmy Butler? Nobody even had no, but every analyst had Jimmy Butler going to stay with the Sixers or going somewhere else. Nobody expected the Heat, but somehow Pat Riley pulled it out. I don't know how that happened.
I think it was because he liked what the Heat were about. Because if you look at their culture, they're all about
I
playing
wish
hard.
would
And
have came
Eric
to
Spoelstra's been a
our
good
team.
coach.
Yeah.
There's been a good coach a long time, and Jimmy Butler, he liked what they were about, and so he kind of plays the way that they play in terms of like their mentality. So I said that the Sixers were going to take a dip once he went down because I just feel
Mm.
like that responsibly, I can't trust Ben Simmons and Embiid. They're Embiid more so immature than Ben Simmons, but Ben Simmons he just doesn't. He lacks too much confidence for a player that he seems confident when he drives to the basket, but it's like his other style of play is just he doesn't look confident once you take away what he's really good at, and it's like he needs to get better and much more confident. But that was a huge loss losing him, and Tobias Harris has had a down year. So when you add that,
Oh,
you lose
another
JJ
Magic
Redick as
player
well.
you're talking about. I remember Tobias Harris was on the Magic, and I wish we never got rid of him because we could have had him, and he could have been a scorer for us too. And yes, he's having a down year. I totally agree with you. He are a young, good team. Yes, even though I hate them, I have to admit that he got one superstar in the third seed. Amir looks better with the Heat hat. What? I don't even have a Heat hat. I never wore a Heat hat. What are you talking about? See, this is also so. This guy Chad always says when I was younger, I should have liked the Heat. But I could not tell that the Heat were gonna be better than the Magic. I could never tell that. Actually, in the '90s, the Heat weren't as good as the Magic. The Magic were better,
No, yeah, at that time, no, the Magic were the much better Florida team than
way
the
much
Miami,
better.
way much better.
We had Shaq and Penny Hardaway and Nick Anderson,
Dennis
Scott
Scott.
Skiles. We had all these guys. Dennis Scott. We had a
Mhm.
lot of people on this team that were really good.
It's
We
funny.
even got Horace Grant from the Bulls. Thank you, Bulls, for letting Horace Grant go. I don't know why. Yeah, so I could not tell that the Heat were going to be good. Plus, I didn't choose my team because, once I decided my team was going to be Orlando, I've stuck with them, Louis, even till now, even through all the pains that we've had. Has
No, it
like
just shows
you
you.
stay with the Knicks,
Yes, no, it just shows loyalty and dedication. I listen. The Knicks, they have to win a championship for me, before I die. And it's the same with you with Orlando. Hopefully, they
Yes,
win a championship before you die. And it's like
yes.
That's how committed I am. And it's like I'm not somebody that just jumps from team to team. Like I said,
No,
I'm a fan of
bandwagon,
a lot of
yeah.
teams. I'm not one of those bandwagon people. Listen, the Knicks may be bad, but I still cheer for them time to time. I just can't stand the front office right now. That's all it is. Once we change that and we get some winners in there that are committed to winning, build the team the right way, it's gonna get better from here. But yeah,
Yeah.
people have been trying to tell me, no, Lewis, you need to cheer for this team, this team. I said, listen, I said what you guys are doing is great over there, but I said, but I'm not changing my team just because you want me to. I was like, no,
And that's what,
I stick to
yeah.
my team.
And I always say that, like, about the Magic. Like, if you look at it, we haven't been that bad. We've had actually some pretty good success. It's only been a few years where we've been bad. If you look at it, we had Shaq, then we had Tracy McGrady. We were still a playoff team with him. And when we got Dwight Howard, we got him in the first overall pick. That was great because when we had Dwight, we were able to contend for a while. We were even beating people like LeBron. I mean, I know LeBron was on a bad Cleveland team, but we were still able to beat him, and we were able to beat the Celtics, the Big Three. The Big Three didn't get there once because of us, at least.
Yeah, and people forget, and this player kind of gets lost on that team with Dwight Howard. I remember when Jameer Nelson, I'm talking
Jameer
about.
Nelson, the point guard, yeah, he was good. He just kept
was,
getting injured, but he was
yeah.
good.
I mean, I remember that 2009 season. He was killing so many point guards in the league, and he was having a career year. He was shooting the lights out on the basketball. Mm-hmm. He had an all-star year, and I said that a healthy Jameer Nelson, would have really
maker. Yeah,
that would have helped. But by the time he played the Lakers in the finals, you could tell he wasn't himself. And
actually, I think we made I think it was a mistake that we rushed him back. I think we got stuck with Rafer Alston. I think Rafer Alston was playing decent enough for us to.
Yeah, he was playing well enough.
Yeah, he was playing well enough. Orlando only got Disney World. I know. I never said it was free. It's not a free agent destination, but there are a big free agent was Tracy McGrady. Grant Hill was a huge free agent for us. I mean, it didn't work out. But Grant Hill was like the LeBron James at that stage. He was supposed to be like that good, but he got hurt. That's the only thing about him.
What I heard was also they were trying to get Tim Duncan.
That story bothers me because we should have gotten Tim Duncan, but Doc Rivers said no, you cannot. I don't know why he said that. If we had Tim Duncan and Tracy McGrady, you don't think we would win some championships? I think
it would have been. Listen, it would have been so much more easier for T-Mac because Duncan was already polished, and it's like he won a championship. I was like, you're gonna get championship experience on your team, and it's like you get another All-Star, to pair up with T-Mac and Grant Hill. Oh my God! I mean, the amount of buzz that Orlando would have had around the league just with that trio would have been insane. But Doc Rivers ruined all that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. Doc Rivers pissed me off about that because if we had that, we could have had. I mean, we could have had I know we would have had some championships with Duncan and Tracy. I think, or we would have at least been contending for it. I'm more of a basketball guy. Karam says, yeah. I'm more of a. I like football, and basketball is like. It's very like neck and neck between one of the two, It's very hard to pick. I do love basketball, but the one thing is like Orlando is one of those teams that, for the most part, you guys are right. The free agents don't come as much as they should. I feel, and the Knicks also, even though the Knicks are like this big city and this big market, no players want to go there. And I think that's because of the top. Nobody really respects Dolan. Nobody likes their GM. And that's just, I don't know.
No, that's what it is. I said until they get rid of the people at the top. I said, and look how James Dolan is treating the fan base too. It's like if you don't agree with what he thinks, he is pretty much he could care less about you. He could give two shits about you. He said, no, the hell with you. You're gone. And it's like all I said was just sell the team. That's it. You took offense to that. I'm like, you make a lot of money, dude. It's like you've had us in the ground for like quite a long time. So. That's the thing. It's like the Knicks, even though we're in the biggest market, it's nobody wants to come here because, again, how the organization is. So, yeah, it comes down to that. It really comes down to that.
The only reason people don't go to the Magic is not because people think they're a bad franchise, but because, they're not one of those big market teams. I think that, and Dwayne Wade was already in Miami. This is what I always say. Dwayne Wade was on Orlando. Do you not think, and let's say how they cut cap space, do you not think they could have got LeBron James and Chris Bosh? But I think they also went to Miami because Dwayne Wade was already there. And Dwayne Wade could just get these guys to come. Let's see. Should the Kings trade for Buddy Hield? Trade Buddy Hield. Sorry, not for.
Should they trade him? I was at first saying yes, because the fact that he's so inconsistent and he gets too shot conscious, like he'll just jack up shots without playing the flow. And because the thing is, Buddy Hield has some talent. He's not really a good defender, but offensively he's got some talent. I felt that the second half of the year he really started to smarten up and really started to improve his shot selection and really did a much better job of getting much better shots. So I won't give up on him too easy. So I want to see how much he develops. But I think that he needs a new coach, and because I'm not a big fan of Luke Walton, and I think that they need to get rid of him because I thought that they took him too fast after they fired Dave Yoger. I thought Dave Yoger did a much better job than what Luke was able to do this year, even though the Kings had some injuries. Because I know that Marvin Bagley is out. And he's a diamond in the rough.
Oh yes,
that needs to get healthy. But I won't trade Buddy Hield so quickly. I think he can definitely get better and improve. It's just I feel like the coaching for him is just not the best. He really started to figure out how to become better.
Yeah, Buddy Hield's got to become better. He's a decent scorer, but he needs to work on that defense. That's what I really do think what he needs to do. But this is great. Magic need Giannis. I don't think it's gonna happen, but we do have the GM that drafted Giannis. That's the only connection I could see, but I do not think it's gonna happen. But of course, I would love that. Now, this is what I hate. Giannis got exposed by Kawhi. I like Giannis, but I don't really know if he's gonna make it to the finals. Kawhi is not there anymore, guys, and I still think Giannis. I don't know. These guys hate Giannis. What do you think about the Giannis stuff here?
Here's Giannis. Here's Giannis's. Well, the thing is, people got to understand something. Yeah, Kawhi did a good, solid job on Giannis, but you got to understand something. He doesn't really have he's taking more jumpers, but it's not really consistent. So the reason you can guard him is what does he do very well? Get to the free throw line, drive to the basket. Yeah. Especially in transition. Once you take those things away and you build a wall, the thing is what the Raptors did is it wasn't just the fact that Kawhi was guarding him. They had a wall. So you had in the back, you had Siakam, you had Serge Ibaka, you had Marcus Gasol. So you had players waiting for him just in case if he was to go past Kawhi Leonard. So Kawhi could force him into the help. And once they build that wall, he would have to pass it to the shooter. So you kind of take him out of his game because he's dominant when he drives. Now, give him credit. He's improved. He's definitely improved, taking more shots. I've seen him expand his skill set. The key for him is going to be who's going to be able to score alongside him. He needs a second dominant scorer, and Chris Middleton is not that player.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
And Eric Bledsoe, he plays well in transition. He doesn't play well in the half court, and he tends to disappear in the playoffs. And it's happened the last 2 years with Milwaukee, with the Bucks. So with Giannis, the easiest thing to be, once you build a wall, is he going to be able to hit mid-range shots, long-range shots? Once he does that, then you're going to be able to spread the defense. But until he's able to do that, it's going to be hard.
Yeah, no, I had a great question, though. Do you see Giannis leaving the Bucks if he doesn't win this year? Or do you think he stays with the Bucks like no matter what? And if he does leave, if you think he is going to leave, which team do you see him going to? Or do you think he's just going to stay with the Bucks?
Well, here's the thing. I think Giannis staying with the Bucks is going to be if the Bucks can get to the NBA Finals. I think if they don't get there, I think Giannis is going to start to show some frustration little by little, and I think he eventually leaves. He can say that he doesn't leave, but I know players have a way to get their mind swayed, especially when it comes to what today's league is about.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at the way that LeBron and Kevin Durant, Giannis can't tell me he's not seeing that. And look what Kawhi just did, with Toronto. Giannis is going to be looking at that, and they're going to say, does he want to win? And they're going to look at that team and decide. They're saying that, well, he's got the team to do it. Obviously, Kawhi is not there this year, so this is the opportunity for him and the Bucks to go all the way to the finals. If they don't get it done, I don't see Giannis staying. The question is, what team does he go to? A
Yeah.
lot of people, the media has been pushing for him. Oh, Golden
Don't say the
State, Golden
Lakers.
State.
Oh, Golden State. Okay.
Well, they have been pushing him there, but I mean, I don't see him going to the Lakers though, because
I don't
just for
think
the
they have
fact
enough
of
space for him.
no, they don't have the Lakers don't even
Yeah.
have the cap to get him in either, because he's gonna
Thank
make.
God.
They're thinking that he possibly, if he doesn't go to to the Warriors, or that he might stay in the East. I've heard some rumors of Toronto possibly,
Mhm.
and because Masai Ujiri's there, the GM, and there's him. I believe that there's probably one or two teams in the East that are possibly like looking to get Giannis, and the Magic are a possibility. If you guys go to hooprumors.com,
Oh,
they tell you a lot of rumors that can potentially happen. They're not legit as of that they're going to
yeah.
happen, but if you go there, there's like
So
a lot of.
they did bring up the Magic as a possibility. Did they
Mhm.
say why the Magic are a possibility? Did you read that part? Because I would really, or if you have that article, can you share it with me? Because I really want to know what their reason would be. Because I talked about it as a possibility myself, and everybody just thought I was a crazy biased Magic fan.
Mhm. No, listen, if they can get him, the Magic have their superstar.
Oh, the Magic are in the first seed if we get Giannis. I'm telling you right now, he's that much of a difference maker.
Because the thing is now the Magic, first of all, they have young talent, and you add a young player that you can build for years to
We're
come.
already good defensively, so
They're already good defensively. Giannis adds that. Oh, he helps them get easy points in transition. That's going to help. And then, um, think about this. I mean, you put Giannis on that Magic team. They're already a talented defensive group, young core. You put him with, Vukovic and stuff. I mean, he could even stretch out and hit the three as well. The Magic already become contenders already, in the blink of an eye, just getting that superstar with Giannis. I mean, he makes that much of a difference in his impact, and getting him would be great. For them,
dude, if
for
that
you
happened,
guys.
I would get a jersey within 2 seconds.
Oh yeah,
You would see me. I don't typically buy jerseys because when I buy it, something happens with the player, like they get traded or whatever.
Mhm.
So I've been freaking really upset about it. Okay, but there was something that I wanted to talk about because somebody had a really good question and I can't find it now. Oh, it's about the Knicks. Who will have a better? This is what I want. Who will have a better decade, Luka or Giannis? Oh man, that is tough.
that's
Luka's younger too than Giannis.
yeah. Luka is 21.
Yeah.
Giannis is 25. Right now, Giannis is the more dominant player right now.
Oh yeah.
Key thing. Well, let me see. That's a really, really, really tough question. The key thing is going to be health with both players. Obviously, if none of them get injured.
Right.
In terms of who's the more dominant player, Luka's a little bit tough because I want to see how he's going to be with Porzingis. If they don't happen to end up trading him or anything like that. Right now, I would have to go with just Giannis right now, just because the numbers he's putting up. I mean, he's won MVPs. So I could see him being the more dominant player, at least. Well, he's the more dominant right now. If Luka can stay healthy, depends on what Luka does. He has the potential to be dominant over the next 10 years, but
yeah. I think he's a great player, Luka, but I don't think he's on Giannis's level yet. And it's going to take some time for him to get there if he even wants to be. Yeah. Plus, I just think their games are very different. Also, it's really hard to compare those two. But yeah, I would have Giannis being the better player for the next 10 years.
Yeah, because the thing is, Giannis can play off the ball, something that Luka hasn't really, mastered.
Yeah.
There's still things that Luka has to work on. But Giannis, to me, right now, he will be the more dominant player for years to come. Luka's going to take him some time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a really good question, though.
That was a good question.
Yeah, I think that Luka is amazing. I just, yeah, that's the thing, man. Porzingis, he should have stayed. He should have stayed in New York. He's going to regret it. I bet you, not now, but when he retires, he will regret it because he would have realized if he was in New York, they would have got – because if you have Porzingis, I feel like more players would have wanted to come eventually to play with him. And I feel like the Knicks could have got better. now the Knicks don't have like that center player that like a guy they could build around right now, unless it's Julius Randle, which I don't know if he's that guy.
Yeah, I heard. Well, I know Kevin Durant had talked a little bit about this. He said that he would have considered New York a lot more had Porzingis been there.
Yeah,
But once
exactly.
he left,
There you go, right?
yeah, that just really,
it's
that
true.
just really,
It's really true. Oh no, we got a fake Sir Cardinal in here. What the hell?
huh.
Yeah. Oh man, so many great topics. Let's see.
Yeah.
Nuggets. Is Giannis here? Well, Giannis is even though, okay, besides the Magic players, he's one of my favorite players to watch. I'll tell you that. Is Giannis one of your favorite players?
No, I love Giannis. I like the fact that he's a leader. He leads by example. He plays hard. He's somebody who doesn't make excuses, holds himself accountable, hold his teammates accountable. He's improved his game and he wants to be great. That's what I love about him the most. He wants to be great. So I love watching Giannis play. For those who want to know who my favorite player is, it's actually Kawhi Leonard right now.
Oh, okay.
Kawhi Leonard is my favorite player. I just like the fact that he just goes out and plays basketball. He doesn't look into the media. He just goes and does his thing. I know some people are kind of mad about him with this whole, with the knee issue and the whole load management thing, but I mean, and he does it at both ends of the floor. And he's really expanded his game now. Like you could just see him, like he's really starting to show that Jordan, Kobe-esque type of game, and showing a lot more confidence. And I just enjoy watching Kawhi Leonard play. So he's like my favorite player.
Kawhi is amazing. Also, Kawhi and I would say Giannis and those people. Sports Reaction, what's up? Who is this? What do you mean? Who is this? This is Louis Sports Network, great YouTuber. I just been on his channel a lot, like last week, I would say, more than anything, because I think Karam told me about your channel, and you've been coming into mine, and I saw that as well. So then I just subscribed and checked out all your live streams, and I saw that I hate. You know which one I hate? I missed out on the Magic because I was doing a live stream. I didn't know what time yours was, but I did watch it, and I was like, good points. I just wish I was there because I would love to be on like a panel to talk about that because I know a lot about my team. And people think that like I'm a homer or whatever, but I really do think people underrate this team because they are a playoff team, and I think Steve Clifford is a good coach. I really do like how he coaches.
I like him a lot. I wish Jordan I wish Jordan didn't give up on him too soon. I like this
too quickly. I think
too quick. I don't like the way Jordan owns
one of the worst owners in basketball.
He is arguably the worst owner in the league. Great, obviously, arguably greatest to ever do it, but it's just like I remember Charles Barkley criticized him, and he was good friends with Charles at one time, and Charles said that he doesn't like the fact that Jordan has a lot of yes men in the organization, which is why he feels like that the Hornets have not really been as great of a team as they should be. And Jordan just kind of cut him off, and I feel like that. And they just told me how sensitive he is, like to criticism, with things like that, because it's like he's looking at it like, I thought you're supposed to be one of my, best friends. And Chuck is like, no, he said, I'm an analyst, and I'm just gonna do things accordingly. Like if I think your team sucks, it sucks. Like it is what it is.
Yeah.
But I like Steve Clifford a lot, and I like the way I like his principles. I like the way that he speaks to the team. Like you could tell that he's about the team, and he's the reason. And it's funny because even when he was in Charlotte was a good defensive team on his part because of their principles. Yeah. He's doing the same thing with Orlando. So I like Steve Clifford a lot.
And he actually brought DJ Augustine from Charlotte. I like DJ Augustine. I think he's a good bench point guard. But should the Magic trade Aaron Gordon? I don't think so, unless they get something really, really good. But I would not trade Aaron Gordon. I really love that guy.
Too talented to trade. I would not
trade him. And he should have won the slam dunk competition. I don't get what anybody says.
Yeah.
There are people in here that tell me that he shouldn't. I don't know if they're just trolling me, if they actually really believe that.
No, I said on both occasions, against Zach LaVine and against Derrick Jones, he should have won. He should be a champion.
Thank you.
It stinks now.
You hear that? Me and Louis both agree on this.
Listen. He did the more difficult creative dunks when I watched it. Like it's pretty plain obvious. pretty plain obvious. Like,
Yeah.
come on. Like,
Yes,
dunking
even
up.
he was like, I love his press conference when he was like, "Really?"
Yeah, no. Listen, Dwayne Wade was biased. He wanted his boy to win. I don't want to hear I don't care what anybody
Yeah,
says. If I give him
Dwayne
another
Wade. They should have never had Dwayne Wade on that panel because there was already a Heat player there, and that's why he did it. I think.
Yep.
Do you think Dwayne Wade has any hatred for? He probably has some hatred for the Magic as well. It's like they're in the same division.
Maybe he does. I'm not really sure, but
I'm not sure if he does, but he probably does. I mean,
nah. Maybe I probably say he doesn't hate them. I just think with the whole Aaron Gordon thing, it was just more so he wanted his boy Derrick Jones to win. Because I think if he wasn't there, Aaron Gordon easily wins that contest.
Oh yeah, I think Aaron Gordon right now is probably one of the best dunkers.
What I want to know is
look what he said. Derrick Jones won fair and square. You're just a hater. Nobody's buying this. Nobody's buying
listen. I like Derrick Jones. Like
I think he did great dunks too, but I just
Derrick Jones was great. I love the dunks that he made. I just thought Aaron Gordon was a little bit better. And look, Dwayne Wade. Listen, man. I want to know who made him a judge. That's what I want to know. I think if he wasn't there. He wasn't there,
Gordon would have won.
He would have won. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. He made up all these excuses. No, he knows. And Aaron Gordon called him out on it. And Dwayne was trying to throw some hate around his way, but no.
What did Dwayne Wade say to what Aaron Gordon had to say? I never saw that.
They were. I think Dwayne had an Instagram live, and he ended up showing up, and Aaron was like. He threw shade at him, and he was like, because your boy was there that, you ended up winning he won the contest. He's like, because, I had a 10 on that dunk. And Wade was like, oh, I felt that it was a 9. He tried to blame it on the other judges as to somebody. I was like, dude, you the one who gave him the 9. What are you talking about? He's like, if somebody else gave it.
Dwayne Wade, yeah. That's great.
Oh, my God.
The Nuggets never traded Donovan Mitchell. That's what he said.
Wait, oh, you mean from when they drafted him?
Yeah.
Is that what you're trying to say?
I guess that's what he's asking, yeah.
If the Nuggets never traded him,
the Nuggets would have such a squad. But then do they still get Jokic and all these other guys? I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing. I don't know. It's one of those things because at least
it's so hard to determine that one.
That's the thing.
Who should win most improved player of the year?
Wow,
that's a good question right there.
There's a few people who could win that award.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think who was in the
Yeah. All Derrick Jones did was the same dunk over and over. But Alex, I appreciate that. Oh man.
I'm trying to think who should win most improved. There was a couple of guys who I thought about. I just can't get their names in my head. But
Derrick Rose.
Derrick, yeah. I mean, it could be.
Derrick Rose. I know you like Derrick Rose a lot, right? Man, I used to love Derrick Rose. He was like one of my favorite players, but then he got injured all the time. That really sucks.
No, yeah, Derrick. When he won the MVP, I said it's going to be scary what he could become, and I said I hope he gets the help that he needs. So that I know that he said that he was reckless in terms of why he got injured, but the thing is, what people need to understand, Tom Thibodeau burned him to the ground so much, just like with those other players, and that's why I'm very iffy on him coming to the Knicks.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. He's a candidate for the head coaching job. Would you want Tom Thibodeau on the Knicks?
I'm afraid of what he would do to the players playing, like, especially because he plays the starters a lot. He doesn't really like to play his bench players, and he plays them a lot of minutes, and then it's like he just forces them to play defense. I think if he's to come, they need to bring an offensive coordinator, because I know he's going to be pushing them so hard to play defense, and it was part of the reason that a lot of the Bulls players got injured when he was coaching them. And it happened in Minnesota too, and it's crazy. They weren't even a good defensive team in Minnesota when he was there. But it's because he plays his players way too many minutes.
The Pro Steelers fan says, I want to see Zion. I think we all want to see Zion again. That's going to be really see him.
The league is part of the reason that they were kind of doing this thing is because they really want to see Zion in the playoffs, and I think that they're trying to have him go up against LeBron in the playoffs. So they're really pushing for that, and I think
I don't
they
understand why
to.
they want this. It's so stupid because it's like Zion does not have the team to compete with LeBron.
Yeah.
Who should win MVP? Ooh.
Giannis Antetokounmpo, no question. The league is trying to make LeBron win, and listen, I'm not trying to say that he's not having a great season because he is, but the thing is, their defense changed because of Anthony Davis, and then if you add Dwight Howard in there, it's the truth. Giannis is doing this without another dominant player, and with how they treated Golden State, if they're gonna say Kevin Durant and Steph Curry can't win an MVP because they cancel each other out, then you have to keep that same energy with LeBron and Anthony Davis, because before Anthony Davis got there, the Lakers, I know they had injuries, but they weren't a playoff team. They weren't a playoff team.
LeBron got hurt, but they were. I don't know if they still get to. They still would have got to the playoffs, and even if they did, they would have lost without Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis makes such a big difference. I think Anthony Davis is the best player on that team, to be honest with you, and LeBron is second. Just because of the stuff that he does do.
Mm-hmm.
Who's the most underrated player? And then he said Terrence Ross. I do love Terrence Ross, but I don't know if he's the most underrated. Who do you think who is the most underrated in the NBA?
There's a lot of underrated players in the league. I say that he's definitely one of them for sure.
Yeah, he's definitely one of them for sure. Yeah,
Terrence Ross is definitely underrated for sure. There's a lot of them. You're looking at.
What's up, Rocha? Welcome. Yeah.
You're talking about, even though Siakam has improved and he's an all-star, I still feel like he's underrated. Siakam is definitely one of them for sure. I know they talk about Jokic. Jokic is definitely very underrated for one, even though they talk about him a lot. But I feel like that.
Jokic is underrated because they don't talk about him as much.
He doesn't talk about. Yeah, exactly. I was gonna say that they don't talk about him enough. Trying to think about who else.
Vucevic is underrated. I'll tell you that.
He was just who I was thinking about. I'm like, with the numbers he puts up.
He's one of the best centers in the NBA. Nobody ever talks.
No, they don't. Yeah, they don't talk about him enough. I mean, he gets double doubles just like that, like nothing.
It's like an instant double machine that nobody talks about.
Instant double, instant.
This is just to make Valix mad, but Julius Randle. Julius Randle. No handle Randle is the most underrated player. Well, if you go by Valix's standards, he is. Because Valix thinks he straight up sucks, and I don't think he straight up sucks.
No, yeah, but no, if you're gonna go by that logic, then yeah, he's gonna be underrated.
Yeah, he's underrated. What's up? Rocha's in the house. Lakers aren't considered with LeBron. Yeah, no, I would say LeBron and AD are the best duo. This guy asked what is the best duo. I think they are the best duo. I mean,
yeah. Part of the reason being is because, they've proved it. I think that if Kawhi and Paul George had been more healthy this season, I think they would have gave them a run for their money.
Yeah, they just haven't played together as much.
But LeBron and AD, they're the best duo in the NBA.
LeBron and AD are the best duo. Yeah, in my opinion. I agree with that one. What if KD and Kyrie were healthy? Would you have them? No, I don't know if they'd win the chip automatically like that, but
like I said, in the
Eastern Conference,
they would be they'll contend for the East. But like I said, in order for them to become championship contenders, again, they're going to need that consistent third guy. They have to get better defensively, and I don't know who their head coach is. I think if they can fix those three things, they are championship contenders, and I can see them winning the NBA championship. And besides, I feel like the league next year will try to get them in the NBA Finals. I could see it just because of what that would bring if you had a New York team in the NBA Finals. I could see it. I wouldn't be mad at it neither.
Randall, it's just the handles that sucks.
Oh, wow. Listen to Valix, man.
He hates Julius Randle. Like, he really does.
I could tell he hates him. He hates him with a passion.
The handle is bad, but you also got to remember, he's a power forward. His handle's not supposed to be that great. I know some power forwards do have decent handles, but that's not their number one concern.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you think Zach LaVine's a better 3 or 2? I think he's a better 2. I don't think
it's the same by position, or does he say in terms of like on a? I
think he means in terms of importance on the team. I think he's fine as a number 2. He's not a number 3. He's amazing at a number 3. I would love him as a number 3.
He's fine either way, to be honest, at number 2 or number 3. I think a little more. I think a little more at number 2, but
Yeah.
he's even greater at number
If you
2.
have one number 3 on your team, that means you have a pretty good team, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Kenny Atkinson to Chicago or Sacramento?
Kenny Atkinson did a really solid job, but I know that he lost touch with the players and the front office. For the Nets. I don't like Luke Walton, so I would send him to Sacramento. That's just me personally. I would send him to Sacramento. I think that they could play well under him. I think he could get best out of that young group, with that young team that they have, with some of the veterans they have. I think he would be a good fit for Sacramento. Depending on who they put with Chicago, I think he could be a good fit there because I don't like what Jim Boylan is for that team. I don't think they need to get rid of Boylan, and Kenny Atkinson would be a nice fresh head start. So
Yes, guys. I love when you talk about other teams like this one because nobody talks about this team. Do you think Timberwolves will trade for Devin Booker? I don't know if the Suns would ever trade him. I don't think the Suns would ever trade that guy.
I don't think they will because the Suns, they want to keep him. He's the centerpiece of their franchise.
Yeah,
I don't think they'll get rid of him. He's having a great year too. On top of that, and I can't see the Suns trading him. If they do that, then that just proves how more stupid that organization is. They need to keep him. They really do.
Alex with the hate on Randall. No, Randall's a walking turtle.
Wow. That means if I was to walk down the street and he'd had a basketball, he would just cough it up to me, and I'm like, I gotta.
You can take the ball from him easily.
Yeah, I don't have to buy a basketball.
Because I look at like how he plays. He's not as. I mean, I don't think he's amazing, but I don't think he's as bad as Alex is saying. He wants you to cover the Timberwolves next because he thinks Timberwolves are a weird team. Yeah, I don't know if they're weird.
The last few years of them, when they had Jimmy Butler, when they've had Derrick Rose, they had Andrew Wiggins and
none of that worked out, and everybody thought it would.
It's weird. They're sort of reminding me of the Detroit Pistons just in the Western Conference. I just feel like the pieces that they have just never really fit what they have. So that would be a team I would cover next, though. Yeah, I'll look into that Detroit team for sure.
Yeah,
that's a good idea.
Timberwolves. Timberwolves have the worst winning percentage of any NBA team. Did you know that? And they've never been to a finals.
They came close in that 1 year in 2004. That was the only time.
Yeah, that's crazy when they found that out. And they have the least home attendance of any team. So most of the people do not go to their teams.
No.
Most of the people in Minnesota, I don't think really care about basketball as much.
They're more into the Vikings and more into the hockey, I think.
True. I totally agree. Who should win Defensive Player of the Year? That's a good question.
I would go with Anthony Davis personally. I like Giannis, and he could win that award, but I like more so Anthony Davis. I don't think
they would give it to Giannis because, if he wins the MVP, they might just give it to somebody else. Anthony Davis has been really good defensively, so I could see that happening. I could see either of those two guys.
I would give it to him.
Yeah. Man. So there's a lot of great questions here. I really wish you could get rid of Fournier. That's one guy I want to trade off the Magic. If you guys want to get rid of Julius Randle, we want to get rid of him. We don't want Julius Randle, obviously, because we already have a lot of forwards. But I do not think Julius Randle is as bad because I remember when the Knicks got Julius Randle, that was their best signing last year. I think it was their only real big signing last year.
Yeah, and I said, wow. I said, you know what? I said we got a good all-star player. I said, so we got him.
Gibson, 87-year-old player. I'll tell you what the reason is. Mitchell Robinson gets in foul trouble a lot. If you look into it, that's basically why Taj Gibson plays more. He needs to stop with the foul trouble. That's the only thing I could think of because I think Mitchell Robinson right now is better than Taj Gibson.
When he's on the floor, Mitchell makes a great impact. It's just he gets into a lot of foul trouble.
He could be a future Defensive Player of the Year because the way he plays, I love his tenacity on the defensive side. He gets a lot of blocks and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember when the Magic got Bismack Biyombo, and I was like, why did they get this guy? I was so upset with that Bismack Biyombo signing.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
of course I would want CJ McCollum. Are you kidding me? Are you
That
kidding me? I
that
love Bradley Beal, CJ McCollum. Those are the players I love, and they're shooting guards, and he's so good.
the
Yeah,
funny thing is, I forgot to mention him, but he was
he's an
actually another
underrated
player
player.
that that's another underrated player, and he's a guy that they should go after. To be honest with you, I think he would be a great fit for Orlando. I think CJ McCollum would definitely be. I forgot to mention him, but he was another guy. He's another guy that they should consider going after. I don't know if the Blazers would let him go, but if they do, he would be a piece that the Magic should consider getting.
Yeah, I agree. And this guy says, do you think James Wiseman will succeed in the NBA? Bronco Fanatic asks.
That's a good question, and
Hard to
it's one.
say because I feel like his position is almost extinct in the NBA.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing because if you look at this era, he would have to be able to shoot threes in order for him to be
And I
have
don't
any.
think he could do that. I don't think he's a 3-point shooter at all.
No, he's not a 3-point shooter. That's the thing. With the way the league is now, it's gonna have to be that way. He would have to expand his game because
Yeah, he really, really needs to expand that game. I agree. Because even big men nowadays are coming out shooting threes. Or he needs to work on it. He can maybe work on it, but I don't know how good he can be because I've seen people work on it and they do get better, but they still don't get to the level that some of these other centers are shooting threes.
and the thing is, if
It has changed entirely. Like it's not it's not like how Shaq was or any. It's like completely different. You got all these like 3-point shooting centers now, and they do the pick and pop and that kind of stuff a lot.
yeah, it's like I don't mind having the pick and pop. I just hate that it's used like constantly a lot. I feel like that. I would love to see like different different styles of offense. I think it makes the game more beautiful to watch. And I get it, like if you can't stop, the play, just kind of keep running it. But at times it could get kind of boring when it's like you kind of see the same thing. It was one of the things that Shaq was mad about when he looks at today's game. He says he wishes that guys could.
I understand the frustration because it's like his position is like almost gone now. Do you think Jonathan Isaac is better at power forward? I like him at small forward better, to be honest. But what do you think?
He's a better 3 than 4 for me.
Yeah, so he's a better small forward. So you agree with me?
He could because he can really use his athleticism a lot more at the 3 spot, and I like him defending the threes more than I put him at the 4s because I think if you put him at the 4 position, because if you look at the way that the game is played today, it's like 4s are kind of more offensive players now than they are kind of like bangers. And with his skill set with Jonathan Isaac, it's like I would rather have him defending the 3 position because I think that would be key because there's a lot more scores at the 3 in this league right now than there is at the 4. So I would leave him at the 3.
Alex actually he's okay with Bobby Portis. Bobby Portis is okay with the Knicks. he likes his Bobby Portis.
My issue with Bobby Portis is character. That's just really it. He just gets himself in a lot of trouble and gets himself injured too. He's kind of injury prone as well. He's a solid player, but I would question in terms of the locker room. Locker room wise he would be somebody I don't have on my team.
Should the Warriors try to trade for Embiid? These are so many questions. Should they trade? Should the Heat trade? I don't think the Heat need Embiid. They have Adebayo. I don't know. Should the Warriors? Wait, okay, do you think the Warriors, Heat? Let's do this together. Warriors or Heat should trade for Embiid. Which team do you think should trade for him?
I don't think the Heat need him. I think they're good with they are. I just think that they need to just be better offensively. I think they could use a little bit more 3-point shooting. That's just me for the Heat. For the Warriors, they don't have a dominant big, so getting Embiid in terms of that would help them in terms of inside scoring, and he could stretch the floor.
Yeah,
so that would help.
Can the Warriors afford him? That's a good question because
I don't think they'll be able to afford him.
Yeah.
My fear with that also is the injury bug with him. He is immature. Going to Golden State, I think, would help him in terms of maturity. I am a little bit weary though of Draymond and him being together, just for the fact that how Draymond is. But he would definitely help Golden State because he could dominate inside. He would be great. He would be great for them. He would be great in their system. They can run plays through him, and then also they can spread the floor. So he would be great in Golden State. But I just don't know if they can afford him. And like I said, I'd be iffy to do it just because of the injury bug. It's one of the reasons why the Sixers might consider trading him for that reason, is because as he may be the better player, but he can't stay healthy.
Yeah. But he was talking about, is Tobias Harris overpaid? I think we both can agree, yes, he's overpaid.
Yeah, way overpaid.
I really think he's overpaid. I love Tobias Harris because he played for the Magic, but I think he's overpaid. They should have kept Butler, and they shouldn't have overpaid him. I think that's the mistake that they made. He can't afford Embiid. Yeah, we know that. Is Chris Middleton underrated? No, I think he's perfectly rated. I think he may be overrated, actually. I mean,
so what they're doing with Chris Middleton is that they said that the Bucks are good, and don't get me wrong, they are. The problem is that, again, if Chris Middleton was if he was dominant, we wouldn't be saying we would be saying he's one of the best. We would be saying he's like a top 10 or top 5 player, but he's not that. And the thing is that, again, with also he has last year. My gripe with Middleton is he's not a guy who takes over games. He's a very good player, but he's not a guy who takes over games, and he's kind of a volume scorer too. He shoots well from the 3-point line, but he doesn't shoot. He's a decent shooter from the field. He's only like about 44%, which he should be a little bit better than, considering that he shoots the rock, especially from 3-point range. So he's, to me, rated the way he is. I don't think he's overrated or he's underrated.
Which team should trade for Chris Paul? Let me tell you this: Chris Paul is never getting traded. Nobody is going to pay him $40 million a year besides the Rockets, and they only did that because they want to get rid of Westbrook. That is the only reason. Nobody, I think, would trade for Chris Paul. What do you think, Louis?
If Chris Paul wasn't making the money that he was making, Chris Paul already said he's not giving up that contract. If he was, though, there's 2 teams that could use him.
Don't say Magic.
No, I can't put him. I can't put him with the Magic. Not at this point. No, because for him, it's about championship. 2 teams. Milwaukee, he would be a definite upgrade over Eric Bledsoe.
Or Lakers.
He could have been a Laker, but then there's the whole Rondo CP3 thing. So I'm just like, I don't know if they. If that's going to work, especially because they fought the last time that they saw each other.
That's
true. Then you obviously have the Miami Heat. I think he would be good there at the point guard spot for them. In order to help them to go over the top, he would be good. He would really help their offense out a lot if he's able to do that.
Right.
With the ability to get there.
So he was saying, which team? Should the Magic bring back Evan Fournier? Hell no. I just told you I want to get rid of him. He's not who we want. Who should win 6th Man of the Year?
Who was I thinking about? There's so Lou will, but I don't think he's going to win it this time. They might give it to him again, but because he's arguably the best 6th man in the league.
I think he's the best. Yeah.
I believe there's 2 other candidates. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head, but I know him, and I'm trying to think of something. Who else am I trying to think of? I'm thinking about somebody else. They're not clicking in my head right now, but they might give it to him again. But he's probably my pick right now. But there's somebody else who I know that I'm thinking about that he's deserving of that award too. His name it's not coming to my mind right now, but it probably will, later on.
Yeah. I wish Gallinari would come back to the Knicks. What? You're talking about no Reynolds, and you want Gallinari up.
He was good in the beginning, but I don't think at this point now.
No.
I don't think at this point.
Really? The Knicks rumor they was looking to get Christian Wood. He's so underrated.
I agree with that. Christian Wood is underrated. I like Christian Wood. I saw him play in Detroit. He's good. I like Christian Wood. I did a game. I did a live stream with him with Detroit. I think it was against Cleveland. People were getting mad at me as like, oh, why would you do that kind of game? Like nobody wants to see those 2 teams. And I said, this is why I do this. I said, what you have to understand is the media obviously only talks about the big important games they only talk about, the most important players in the league, and they only talk about the big matchups. But I said, more people would tune in if you would do small market teams because they don't get a lot of coverage. And I remember that I was able to do I did a Magic game against the Grizzlies. I can't tell you how many people pulled up from Memphis and from Orlando for that game. Like, and I liked it because it was something different, and I like doing something different. I don't like just
Wait,
doing the
you did a
automatic.
Magic and Grizzlies game?
Yeah, it's on one of
Like a
my
live
streams.
stream, and you called it.
Yeah, I called the game.
That was
I
a
did
great
a
game.
I did. Yeah. Memphis took an early lead, and then they came back from 17 points and won the game. They won by 5. It was a great game. I do commentary for those games. So when I do the live streams, I do commentary. People enjoy it. So I said that I always try to implement more small market teams because I feel like that they don't get
Oh
enough.
my God, I appreciate that because I call a lot of Magic games, and a lot of people don't really care about the Magic, and they always think that I'm too optimistic about my team. But I actually used to be really pessimistic until we got John Hammond as the GM, until we got Steve Clifford, because that's what I always say. There are people that I know, like the Nets coach right now, Jacques Vaughn, was a coach on the Magic, and he didn't work with us. I don't know
Yeah.
if it was all his fault. Some of it was the GM, but some of it was definitely his fault too. Another guy that is on the Lakers, what's his name? The coach on the Lakers. I'm blanking right now. I don't know.
Vogel?
Yeah, Frank
Vogel?
Vogel was a coach on the Magic not that long ago, and he wasn't good. But it doesn't matter because the Lakers have LeBron. He could do what they don't need a coach with that kind of team there.
Yeah.
Who is better, Steph Curry or Harden? In my opinion, Steph Curry.
Oh, that's easy. Steph Curry. That for me is like, listen, James Harden is good, but it's like, listen, he gets me angry with just the stuff that he has had opportunities, and it's just for some reason in big moments he just does not come through. People have tried to defend him in terms of the regular season and how many MVPs he should have gotten. And like I said, Harden, like Westbrook, is another player that I hope that he wins a championship. So they say that he's played with talent and that he's the reason that not only the talent goes, but that he can't win with the talent that he plays with, and then it ends up being his fault because he could be kind of a diva. James Harden can be. And I really want, and like I said, but he's not a better player than Steph, and it's already been proven in the playoffs, even without Kevin Durant.
What team could use Lowry? I don't know.
I really don't know.
I don't really know. I just think that I think he's fine on the Raptors. I don't see why people want him gone so quickly.
To be honest, I think he should finish his career in Toronto. He's
Yeah,
had his
that's
most
it.
success there.
He's already traveled so many different teams.
Yeah, he's been on a lot of teams. He was with Houston. He was with Memphis. I'm trying to think of what other team he was with. He was on quite a few teams.
Alex, I swear your questions are hilarious. Maybe they do need this guy. You can explain more. Should the Knicks get Dennis Schroeder?
He would help our bench. I'll say that. I mean, he's a point guard that gives us instant scoring off the bench, so he would help. Dennis would be good for our team. He would definitely be good, but nothing's gonna happen until we change that top.
Rob Hennigan wasn't a good GM, but don't say he's with the Thunder. Yeah, no, I'll say that he wasn't a good GM because he wasn't. We had players like Tobias Harris and traded him for nothing. Like at first I was mad that he traded JJ Redick. Then he got Tobias Harris. And this is Tobias Harris not being underpaid. And then he got rid of Tobias Harris. He traded Oladipo. Why did we trade Oladipo? Oladipo was the man.
And look what Oladipo's doing now with Indiana.
That's why I'm mad, Louis.
Yeah,
listen, if I was doing YouTube at the time when Oladipo got traded, that would be the biggest rant of all time because I loved Oladipo when we drafted him. He was better than Anthony Bennett. I still don't know why Anthony Bennett was drafted over him.
Right.
That's got to be one of the worst first picks. Like Anthony Bennett, really? What were the Cleveland Cavaliers thinking?
I didn't understand that. Yeah, it was Wiggins was the better suit when they got him next year, even though he ended up getting traded to Minnesota. But that was not a good draft anyway in terms of that 2013 draft. But Anthony Bennett is gone.
Nobody knew about Giannis. Nobody knew Giannis would be. He was actually in that draft too, but nobody knew.
I think he was drafted 15th, if I'm not mistaken. So he was in the top 20.
15th or 16th or something like that. Something by the Bucks. Nobody knew he would be this good, but damn, I wish we drafted him.
Yeah.
But I also think that situation worked out for him because I don't know how he would have been on another team. That team helped him grow, but I really wish he could leave them now. It comes to the Magic.
For real. If
Was Robert Horry underrated? No, Robert Horry is overrated, in my opinion. People talk about him so much about that.
They use him a lot when it comes to the whole GOAT thing, when they're like comparing Jordan with the rings, and they'll be like, well, if Jordan is 6-0, and there's like, if you're saying rings, then Robert Horry's got 7. Does that make him better and all that kind of stuff? Listen, Robert Horry was a very good player, but he did make big shots. I'm not going to sit here and deny that, but I always felt like with him, he was always that right place, right time player. I always felt that with him. It's like the ball just ends up in his hands and like boom, you win the game, and it's with him.
Yeah.
It always happened in like a momentum game in the series. Like he did it with San Antonio, he did it with Houston, and he did it with the Lakers. He always just ended up in the right scenarios. Crazy.
Yes. Well, okay. As long as Sam Presti's here, he has faith in Sam Presti for his Thunder. He thinks
Sam Presti and the Thunder, they draft really well in terms of their players. They really draft well with their scouting. I just don't understand, for some reason, they've never been able to really
hold on to these guys.
Not just that, but they never really surrounded them, at least when Durant and thing were there with 3-point shooting, because that was like the one weakness that they had. I felt like that they were able to do that, but I know that they always had some bad contracts too, which hurt, and free agency was not kind of really kind to them. So they were able to get some pretty good pickups, but they just, like, if they had the 3-point shooting, they probably would have won. They would have won some championships. They never had it though.
What do you think of James Harden? Karam wants to know.
What do I think of James Harden? James Harden, for me, I feel like ever since Mike D'Antoni has come into his life, I feel like he's put up beast numbers, but I feel like they're just kind of overrated considering the context of how he gets his numbers.
He's not in that way. Not the big game.
And my question for Harden is just big games. If he can perform in big games in the playoffs, because like I said, regular season, he always does these things, and the media goes crazy of what he's doing and comparing them to other great players. They'll say that he's the best scorer that they've seen since, Kobe or Jordan, all this kind of stuff. And I said, I've never felt he's on their level. And I said, he needs to win if he wants to be considered at that level in terms of two guards, because he has the talent, but it's just his game is too predictable. And at times it could get pretty boring. And that's, like I said, that's no disrespect to Harden because he's a great player. But
yeah, and he's one of those ISO guys. I don't really like that as much. I know he gets a lot of assists. It's D'Antoni also hurting him because D'Antoni, I don't know. Robert Horry won a chip with each team he played for.
Yeah, he did. He won multiple rings.
What does that mean, though? He's not to me, he's not underrated because they talk about him a lot. Underrated to me means a guy doesn't get exposure enough, and he should.
Which means he's underrated. He's pretty good or he's great, but he just doesn't get talked about a lot.
Yeah, I know so much. Every time I talk about Jordan is better than LeBron, or let's say they bring up Robert Horry in that discussion, and they're like, "Oh yeah, it's not just about rings. Look at Robert Horry. If he has like this many rings or whatever."
Yeah, no, I don't.
He's a great clutch shooter that was there at the right time and at the right moment, and he hit the shot when the ball was passed to him. It's like Steve Kerr also. What happened with him?
Yeah, no, I mean, look, Robert played with Hakeem, he played with Shaq and Kobe, and he played with Tim Duncan. I mean,
look at these players. Like, you could have been on the team, Valix, and you would have won.
Yeah, but
I'm not saying that Robert Horry like that, but I'm just saying, like, he won. He was with the best talent there too. Kobe, Shaq. These are players that won multiple championships.
Exactly.
I really think that a player that's underrated and the media is unfair, and he's played already, but Charles Barkley, I think he's so underrated, so underappreciated, and constantly made fun of by Shaq and the crew. And I don't think it's right. It bothers me. I don't know why.
They make fun of him because he didn't win a championship.
I know.
And the thing is, there's a lot of players. Listen, Clyde Drexler, he's underrated, but they don't celebrate him as much because he didn't win a championship.
John Stockton.
Karl Malone, Reggie
Um,
Miller, are like all of these greats that have played. The ones that didn't win a championship but ended up having Hall of Fame careers, they're not talked about as much because they didn't win. If they do, trust me, it's the conversation is very different with a lot of these all-time greats. It's a lot different.
this is a hard question. Who's going to be the face of the franchise of the Spurs? I don't think they have a face, to be honest. I
They
don't think they
no,
have one.
the last face was Tim Duncan, and it was
That was
supposed to be Kawhi Leonard, but they traded him. So now,
it.
I don't know who it is now, honestly, because LaMarcus Aldridge is not a franchise player, and
He
you can
thinks
have.
it's Lonnie Walker the fourth.
I got to see what Lonnie Walker becomes. I like him a lot. I like the way he plays. I got to see what Lonnie Walker becomes.
That's a good point. Yeah.
He's a very talented player. I like him. I got to see what he is. I mean, if he could become it, I mean, hey, he can. But you know, got to wait and see what he does. But I like him a lot. He's a very good player.
I think that's a good point, but I don't know if he's a face yet. Like, you know, Kawhi was the face, and they got rid of him because they had to. At that point, he was just got so frustrated. I felt like the Spurs did not want to get rid of him. It was kind of like they were kind of forced. I would say in a way.
Yeah, they were.
Once a player wants to leave a team, it's very hard to convince them to not leave. Like we've went through lists of people that this happened to, like Dwight Howard and stuff. Not saying it was on that level, but he wanted to leave. Once they want to leave, it's hard to be like, you should stay and this and that.
Yeah,
I think he should have stayed on the Spurs because I think he would have won multiple championships there too.
Yeah, and I know the Spurs they're not about usually getting big name free agents. They've never really been that type of team.
No.
The biggest pretty much free agent that they was able to get, honestly, was LaMarcus, and that's because he's made a couple of All-Star teams, but they've never really been known as a franchise that gets.
LaMarcus really fell off when he went there, though. Like it's like because he wasn't the same type of player then. Spike messed up when he was talking to Reggie Miller, and he was going, "Yes, I know that is true. He did mess up for that. That's so long ago, though."
It was fun. It was fun.
I don't even think Valix is like a younger. I don't know if you know what he looks like. He's like a younger kid, not like a kid, but like probably 17. You don't even remember seeing that. You had to probably watch like a documentary. I remember that moment. And yes, he did mess up because Reggie Miller went off on him and then did the choke sign. But I think Reggie Miller is just that type of player that can go off at any moment. It wouldn't matter.
Yeah, Reggie's that clutch. I mean, it just tells you. I mean, it's funny because he was struggling in that game through 3 quarters, and Spike was trying to trolling him.
That did give him extra motivation. I will say that though.
Reggie's that kind of person. You like when he plays like that when he needs somebody to kind of motivate him, and then Reggie can go off.
Yeah, he did say. I watched a documentary about him, and he did say he used to like when players used to piss him off, or fans or somebody like that for motivation, extra motivation.
Yeah.
He used to have one guy who used to always just talk shit to him. He used to always be pointing at him and stuff. And he loved that. He felt all of that. Spurs are going to rebuild. They're going to have to. I really think the Spurs dynasty is on the downhill right now. What do you think?
And the thing is they have a shot to make the playoffs. I don't think that's going to happen, but I think that they're in rebuild mode now. Like you could just see it. Like it kind of left the hope that they had with Kawhi Leonard, like it went out the window once he got traded. Because then look, Tony Parker left, Manu Ginobili retired, Tim Duncan retired. Like it's all
like
gone.
The whole team is like different now, and I think Popovich will leave soon once he realizes that they don't have the talent. But look at what Valix talking about Bernard King.
Bernard King.
Bernard King underrated.
I mean, he can't be because he's in the Hall of Fame. I mean, yeah, at one point they didn't talk about him enough, but part of that was because he was injured, and also he didn't win. And the thing with Bernard King was a lot of people felt that he was kind of selfish in that he only went and got individual numbers for himself, but never was really able to elevate his team to win. He did do it in the playoffs against Detroit, I think in '84. But that was when I was watching highlights. I wasn't born at the time, and they showed him he was able to come through and. They was able to beat Detroit in a 5-game series. Couldn't get it done against Boston in the second round, and that went 7. But they felt like after that, because he had that devastating ACL injury, and it took him a while to come back. But no, he's in the Hall of Fame. I mean, it took him
Yeah,
a
how
while.
is he underrated? He's in the Hall of
Yeah,
Fame. People know who Bernard King is. If you watch basketball, you should know who he is.
yeah, no, he
Based
was
on
a
the history
beast,
of
beast
forward.
scorer,
Yeah.
beast of a scorer, and very efficient too. One of the most efficient
When
scorers
I
of
play
ever.
2K, he's always in my team.
Hmm.
Luis said, "What do you think? What do you think of Scott Brooks as?" That's what Karam said to you. What do you think of Scott Brooks as a head coach?
When he was with the Thunder at first, I liked him at first, just because of how he was able to improve the Thunder so fast, especially with KD, Westbrook, and Harden. And when you have three talented players like that, you can. What I didn't like though is he started to play his starters many minutes, and the thing is he was too reliant on them. And the thing is he didn't really run an offense. He kind of let Katie and Russ kind of just do their own thing. There was really he didn't really run any offensive sets. So I'm kind of he's a good coach, but I wouldn't call him a great coach. I don't feel like I know he got to the finals with OKC, but I don't feel like he's that. To me, he's a championship coach. I feel like he could consistently get you to the playoffs. You might make a deep playoff run, maybe, but I don't feel like he's a championship coach. That's just me personally.
And yes, I agree with that. I think Scott Brooks was a good head coach, a good seasoned head coach, but he wasn't like a Popovich that would get you into the playoffs and do long runs and be as good as that way. I would grade him like a B coach. He said grade him to A through F.
He's a B for me.
Yeah. Welcome back, Mile High. And Valak says he hates Jeremy Lin, which I have no hatred for this guy. I think he was the best thing that happened to New York. Why would you hate Jeremy Lin?
I mean, listen, when Linsanity went crazy, we won. And
Yeah, Knicks are
listen,
winning.
And I feel like Melo was kind of jealous of that.
Oh,
Melo,
Melo was so jealous. Melo wanted him gone, like
Melo
because he
wanted
was
to get
winning.
credit, and he wanted the spotlight on him. So he was jealous and then trying to make it
That
work
was
with
like
Jeremy
the
Lin.
best 2 weeks. Like even though I'm a Magic fan, right?
Yeah.
I really was enjoying it because the Knicks were being talked about as like a good team. And where did they get Jeremy Lin from? And where did this guy come from? He was literally sitting on a couch the other day. You remember that? They used to always say shit like that. And I was like,
yep. And
how
like,
can you hate a player that just comes from like nowhere and explodes?
the best part about it was like we were so talked about, like at that point, and it was like we weren't really being talked about like that. And it was like the fact that we were just
it was
dominating headlines off of this Asian kid. It was like it was
yeah.
unbelievable.
He played really well. I don't know how you could hate him. I don't understand that, Alex. I get the Julius Randle because he has no handle. That's the only thing. He's a walking turnover. If he was walking around with the basketball, Alex would be able to take it away from him. That's for sure.
So Amir, this has
we
been
gotta
great.
end this. Yes, I know. I was thinking about the same thing. It's just been so fun, you know.
Got work in the AM.
Yeah, me too. I feel you. I got work too. Luckily, I work from home, so it's not as bad for me. But I was actually thinking about wrapping it up also, so that works out perfect. And this was 3 hours. Oh my god, that's how you know it was so great, Louis. And I appreciate you coming.
No, this is awesome. I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming on. Thank you for the chat for sticking with us this whole time and talking with us. Subscribe to Louis Sports Network. His channel is in the description. His Twitter is in the description. So you have Twitter. You can follow him there too. Is there anything you want to say before we wrap this up?
No, once again, thank you for having me again. Like Amir said, you can find me on the Louis Sports Network. He has it in the description. And, for all new subscribers that are out there, make sure you guys continue to subscribe to Sports Critic because, his channel is, it's getting up there. It's growing and, he's producing great content and, I like the Career 2K. I wish I could follow it sometimes in the day because sometimes I'm like doing stuff, but it's like, the whole my career. And then Alex Sports is doing it too. So, man, you guys are doing it. I mean, I will be setting up mine soon. The thing is, I wish I did have PS4, but I don't. I have Xbox One, so that's the kind of thing that sucks. But I actually will be doing some live streams of games. I just got to set that whole thing up, but I will be doing that as well. So, I just purchased 2K20, so I'm gonna try to because I haven't been playing it. So, but I will.
My career.
Yeah, no, it's pretty dope, and I love the presentation on it too. So it's it's awesome. So I will be doing that, and so I'll be doing more gaming content on my channel. So I'll be stay tuned for that, and make sure check out the videos. I'm gonna try to catch on a little bit of football. I saw I think I saw one of your, I think I was trying to go through your stream one time, but then I saw that you were kind of a wrestling fan too.
Yeah,
And
I did do WrestleMania.
so for those who don't know, I also do cover wrestling content.
Oh wow, there
If
you
you don't
go.
want to figure that out. So I do that. I watch AEW and listen, I'm WWE. So
Yeah.
and
Do you watch
I do.
UFC at all?
Yes, I just saw the Nunes and Spencer fight, so I do cover a little bit of UFC
That
too.
was a good fight. We all saw it together. I wish I called it, but yeah, Nunez destroyed. So
Yeah, cover that. So all right, man. So take care.
yes.
And
Thank you
shout out
for
to everybody in the chat.
thank you again for coming on Louis Sports Network. Hopefully I could come on your channel sometime whenever
Sure.
you're doing a stream. I love when you do those talks and you let people come in. I would love to join in and talk whichever NBA thing you do.
All right, awesome.
Please subscribe to him, and we're ending this stream. So, yep, everybody have a good night. Stay safe. See you around the bend. See you in the next live stream. See you in the next video. Thank you so much, Louis, for coming again. I appreciate it. We talked for 3 hours, but it really felt like 20 minutes because it was so much fun. Yeah, please subscribe to Louis again and follow him on Twitter. We have all the links down below. So take care and peace out.